I was like, oh man, a branch that does pull-ups and I'm pretty good at them. Why not?
It'd be great if that's the reason you chose it.
It was the obstacle course. That was the reason I chose the Marine Corps.
Welcome to another special edition of the After Action Podcast. Let's be honest, they're all special, but not all of them have reserve active duty Marine. He's still in the Marines.
So I got up in front, stood at parade rest, and he goes, we found what was in your room. All right, what do you think? He's like, it's a climbing wall, right? And I was like, yes, sir. And the sergeant major goes, that shit's badass.
He's David Goggins' worst nightmare. He's the king of fitness.
So yeah, I found out afterwards, I actually beat David Goggins' record.
What's the most pull-ups you've done in 24 hours?
I beat his 24-hour record in 12 hours. I actually have the unofficial world record, which the Guinness judge who was there was telling me.
Yeah, you are your name.
Because imagine if I was sitting here and my name was Kyle.
I would ask you to leave. I definitely would take pull-up tips from you. The pull-up prince, Michael Eckert. This episode was sponsored by Medical. Every veteran deserves respect, competency, and clarity when pursuing a disability claim. Of course, we all know the frustration is much more common. If you're looking for a better path and documentation that strengthens your disability rating request, start with our sponsor, Medical. Re's team of professionals work with a network of experienced physicians, and they've already provided meaningful medical evidence for more than 25,000 veterans. And while they can't guarantee what the VA will decide, 95%, let me say that again, 95% of their clients reported receiving a disability rating of 70% or higher. That's because when you connect with Medical, they take the time to explain your options before you pay for anything. Free consultations. So don't give up on a stalled process or settle for an unfavorable decision from the VA. Cut through the frustration with accurate medical evidence and a streamlined approach that allows you to pursue your claim confidently. Head over to remedical.com. That's Romeo Echo Echo medical.com to book your free consultation. Check out our link in the podcast section for more details. Welcome to another special edition of the After Action Podcast. Let's be honest, they're all special, but not all of them have this man here, Marine veteran, active duty Marine, actually still, no? Reserve?
Yeah.
Active duty Marine. He's still in the Marines. He's David Goggins' worst nightmare. He's the king of fitness, the pull-up prince, Michael Eckert.
That was awesome.
Yeah?
Thanks for that intro, man.
Oh, you
Pull-up prince, that's actually a first for me, but really appreciate you having me on.
Oh, dude, it's an honor and privilege. Let's get into it. Let's talk about why I'm your favorite veteran. Let's go.
Let's do it, dude.
Well, you're the second British person we've had on. First is Craighead. Craighead and you.
Well,
I'm trying to get more Brits.
I mean, they're not all bad.
No, it's fine.
Just talk a bit weird.
I think it's funny because, like, in America, like, if you're British or Australian, you can come over and have a vibrant career just doing whatever you want. But I can never go over to England and be like, what's up, y'all? You know, like, it's I don't know. I don't think it translates.
The funny thing is you don't realize you have an accent until you go somewhere else. And then everyone's like, you have an American accent.
I do when I go north.
In America?
Yeah, I hate it. But if I go to the Northeast, they'll be like, you're so, you know, I remember growing up, people from the South are like dumb or whatever. And I go to the Northeast, they're like, hi, you're so wicked going down to Duncan, dude. And I'm like, dude, you all sound like y'all got hit in the head. What are we talking about? You know, because like everyone's like, you know, welcome to New York City or like whatever.
Yeah, New York's huge, but.
Yeah, well, it's just a whole thing, right? You know, because I think America might be the only country where like accents are very particular in the sense of like regional identification.
Maybe. I mean, the reason I say it is because like in England, they have like some of the slummier areas. It's like tough to hear what people are saying.
Yes.
And the only reason I know that is because my mom's from England. So like some people, you know, like Peaky Blinders.
Yeah.
You know who Arthur is?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like trying to figure out what he says half the time. Yeah, exactly.
Well, but I mean, I guess it's maybe it's other countries, but America, it's like very distinctive. Like this is the North.
Yes.
This is the Northeast.
Yeah.
This is the South. This is Texas doesn't have a thing.
I mean, here in Tennessee.
Here has a thing, but people kind of put on a lot, and it kind of makes me upset.
Like the kind of force.
Yeah, people trying to pretend to be me. Yep. Like everything that is popular is stuff that people made fun of me for my entire life. Bass Pro Shop hats, Stanley Cups.
Oh,
you know,
it's kind of cliche here.
Well, yeah, people like have it, but my grandfather used to fill
I get
fill
it.
up his Stanley Cup when he built houses with his bare fucking hands.
Yeah.
And the stuff he did like that. And, you know, he had a Bass Pro Shop hat. And now there should just be a test. Like, if you wear a Bass Pro Shop hat, you actually had to have been fishing once in your life.
True.
Like just like once.
Yeah.
And not like carnival fishing, like where you just like throw a thing and pull it out. You got to like bait it, do the whole thing. It's just weird.
Or go noodling.
Noodling? I want to do that. I know Hannah
don't.
Barron does it.
I'm good on it.
I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it.
Let me know how it goes because I like my hands and
Well,
I just have the
that's
fear.
your trade.
Yeah, and I just have a fear of like sticking my hand into like an alligator snapping turtle nest.
Supposedly, it's where only fish can be in those spots.
Till you're the one case.
That's what I was told.
That's the same thing when you go to Florida because that's where I'm from. Everyone says, "Oh, sharks won't bother you when you're surfing," and
I don't
it's
trust
true
any-
until you get bit.
I don't trust anybody who says that. I don't trust anybody from Florida who says anything.
Okay,
Like
that's
they're
fair.
winging it. The only thing I trust about Floridians is this: they're like alligators like marshmallows, because
It could be true.
everyone I know has like they'll throw marshmallows and the alligators like, oh, they just take them down.
I've never seen that.
You need to get out more.
Yeah.
Outside of Winter Park, dude, I'm telling you, stuff's happening. So you grew up a wee lad in
Yep.
Winter Park.
My dad was Army, so he built us. This is where it all started.
That's where it started?
Yeah, he built my brother and I a military style pull-up bar in the backyard.
He did.
Yeah, and
He's like,
do what?
He's like, listen, boys.
He pretty much
Because he's the
was.
American. He's like, listen, I'm going to get that bread out of you one way or the other.
Yeah, I mean, my dad's extremely hardworking dude. I would call him a jack of all trades, but he's mostly a mechanic. He's not. That's not his trade. Like he sells big equipment for golf courses and stuff. But his work on machines, because he fixes all the machines that he sells, and like I honestly think that's genetically where I got a lot of my grip strength from as well, because he has some of the strongest hands, and he has dad strength. So like he has
That's
some of the
real.
strongest hands.
Yeah.
And but yeah, he built us that pull-up bar, and my brother was a rower on the high school rowing team, and so I played sports, but I never worked out. Working out kind of happened after high school, kind of really in the military. But
Yeah.
But my brother worked out all the time, and so I just used my athletic skill and competed with him, and we were just trying to see who could do more than the other guy.
Yeah. What's your
And
brother's name?
His name's Frank.
Frank.
Same exact. He's Frank Raymond Eckert the Fourth.
Whoa.
Yeah, and his son is Frank Raymond Eckert the Fifth.
Whoa. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
So it's a long lineage of Franks.
So it's like you and Frank in the backyard. And your mother's like, Frank, Michael, go do your pull-ups.
Yeah, pretty much.
Is that just it? Just y'all doing real pull-ups?
Yeah.
Real quick, this is a pull-up, right?
Yep.
Chin
Oh,
up.
yep.
What's the main? Why is there a difference?
Whoa, say it in the microphone.
So this is a pull-up. This is a chin up. What's the main difference and why does it matter?
I don't really think it matters unless your goal is to train different muscles.
Yeah.
But per the rules, if you were to go for like a world record, that's where it really splits off.
Pull up,
Pull up would be palms facing. away
palms
from you.
facing, and then chin up.
Yep. Same exact movement, dead hang, chin
Yeah.
above the bar. But it whoever named them did a kind of like an injustice to the description of them because
Yeah.
chin up, your chin's going above the bar.
It should
both
be.
times.
Both
Yeah.
times. Well, so I know we'll come back to this where we're at, but like I know in the Marine Corps, it was like chin ups are easier. That was
Yeah.
how it was always pitched. Because my understanding of that is because more people use their bicep naturally than they do their back muscles. So that does make sense.
Yeah.
But I always found pull-ups to be easier, actually.
Well, did you ever train them?
When I had to, when I did the Recon Ron pull-up program, that's how I learned how to do 20 pull-ups. When someone was like, if you do this, you'll get promoted, I went home that day. Private Bell went to Walmart and I bought the door frame pull-up bar.
Yes.
And my wife, Christy, was pregnant with our first child. And so she would just like watch me as I came home sweaty, like in our condo, being a boot, coming home late with like cigarette butts in my pocket and stuff that none of them were mine. Just like doing
Yeah.
pull-ups every night
Fresh police call.
until I couldn't do pull-ups anymore. And that's the only way I did it. Just like literally just doing pull-ups in the door frame.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one way to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
like when people ask me for pull-up advice and whatnot, I'm just like, you can do anything, right?
Mhm.
Anything that strengthens the muscles that are involved in a pull-up, you can do it all. Like you can do bicep curls, you can do lat pull downs, whatever the case is. I think the easiest way would just be doing pull-ups, kind of like what you did. just because it's simple. You don't have to have any extra weights. You just need to pull yourself up. And that's like the end goal anyways, to be able to do a pull-up.
And I am simple.
Yeah. But in a good way.
But your dad taught you how to do this. He's like, just do pull-ups.
Yeah, which was weird because he wasn't an Army Ranger or anything, which that's the only reason you would have to do pull-ups in the Army, unless you're just being strong or going to jump school.
Doesn't it like help to build your overall strength more than any other exercise? Somebody told me that.
It's probably the top, most practical upper body exercise you can do.
That makes sense.
I can't think of a better one, to be honest. Like, I wouldn't say, like, the most popular comparison would be like bench press, but that's not practical.
Everybody gets hurt doing a bench press.
Well, that, and it's just not, I mean, like, you can lower the weight and still get good at bench, but it's just, unless you're pushing like a heavy fridge off your body, then it's, I can climb a fence, I can enter a Spartan race, I can go compete on American Ninja Warrior, which I should be.
Which you did.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about it.
I think we're going to be on, I'm going to be on next week's episode.
For real?
Yeah.
Is this exclusive?
Like.
First time you talked about this?
Yeah.
Bam, 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 bam. Here it is. You heard it here first.
And I'll be honest. My first time doing Ninja Warrior was awesome.
Yes.
Now it's more of like a,
branding.
No, it's just an old man trying to see what he's got,
You're
like,
not old. I don't want to hear any of this talk.
Well, I mean, like I've got my fair share of injuries, and so like.
Yeah, that's called being cool.
But like it still hurts to do stuff.
No,
right?
I understand.
You know what I'm saying? So like I'm not nowhere near as strong as I used to be, and I'm always trying to catch my former self, and that's like,
well,
Let
me know if you get it, because then I want to know how to do it too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still working on it.
Yeah,
but, like when I went for the world record, I was injured for 2 years, like terribly. Like
I remember because your hand.
No, that was when I fell on an obstacle course. I broke my wrist. That did take like a year and a half to get over, but when I went for the 24-hour pull-up record, that's where I injured myself really bad. It was just like chronic shoulder pain.
Yeah.
I had to get injections and stuff, and it was really rough.
Interesting.
Yeah. Wasn't a good time.
It's not a good time, but any time with you is a good time.
Thanks, man.
Right? But your dad's teaching you and Frankie.
Yeah.
Frank Zilla.
Frank the Tank.
Frank the Tank,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
So
he was a big dude, and he still is. So,
yeah.
So he fits the role.
Yeah, he's like,
I've never actually met a small Frank.
I don't think I've met a small Frank either.
You know what I mean? So I think.
Nope.
Do you think your name? I know we keep getting derailed here.
No, we're not. This is how it works. This is how it works.
But
this is good, right?
Do you think?
Yeah, it's a good pod.
Do you think the name of somebody, they evolve into that name, or like when you're a baby and you get your name, it's just going to be like, oh, it's the luck of the draw. You're a Mike. You're a Zach. Because my brother definitely, he was a Frank to begin with. He's a Frank in the end. But I've met people that's like
they became their name.
Well, I'm just thinking like the name Gertrude. You think of like an old lady. They evolve into that name. Like I've never called a young person Gertrude before.
The only scenario where I see that happening, like that isn't from beginning to end, is like if your name's Joey, do you then go by Joseph as you start to mature, which is your real name?
So what would you call a young Gertrude?
Gertie.
That's good.
Gertie?
Yeah.
What's up, girl?
I've never hung out with a Gertie before.
You don't know
I can
Gertie?
see it. No, I don't know.
I don't know. It feels like it. Here's the thing. I feel like you are your name, whether you know it or not.
Yeah.
Like if I say Kyle, like, dude, that's such a Kyle.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like everyone knows a Kyle.
But are they
on top of their head?
So do they evolve into the name?
I think they are and will always be a Kyle.
I almost got named Kyle.
I'm a Zach and I hate it because I'm trying to figure out when someone goes, "What's your name?" I go, Zachary Bell. And that's an old sales thing that this guy told me once. Always introduce yourself with your first and the last because I'll never forget you. And I was like, okay. And so I still do that. But I don't go by Zachary yet. I don't know if I ever will or like when I become the final form. So I'm always like, but I'm definitely Zach. Like I'm angsty. You know, like
I'm
like,
a Zach.
Yeah, I'm a Zach.
So you get what I'm saying? Like the names fit the person, but
I don't know.
Is it because of long-term exposure to that name?
When did yeah, I guess. I don't know. I do also remember
I don't know. Have you ever met a hot Olga?
I don't know.
Yeah. Olga.
I know. There's probably 7 to 20 tennis players that are named Olga.
There's Helga.
They're all babes.
Or Helga, yeah.
Helga from what?
Hey Arnold.
Hey Arnold.
Yeah,
Wow. Yeah, she
girl
had.
with the-
Yeah, I didn't know it. I didn't know, but she was such a babe. She was such a babe, dude. You didn't tell me there was a little bit.
I don't.
You don't
That's
think
something a Zach would say.
yeah, that's something that Zach would. You're gonna tell me that she didn't like babe up in high school? I bet she did. If they kept going, hey Arnold,
Maybe.
she's like bullying him, and he's like, whatever, dude. And then she just like babes up out of nowhere.
Could.
I don't know.
But she was a
Helga, Olga.
in the
I
show.
don't know.
But anyway.
I
yes.
think you are your name, whether you know it or not. Like a Kyle is
That was
always
what I
a
was saying.
thing.
My dad wanted to name me Kyle. So that's one of the reasons I brought this question up, because my dad wanted to name me Kyle.
Yeah.
My mom said no and named me Michael.
Absolutely not.
Or it might have been the other way around.
Yeah.
She might have wanted to name me Kyle. My dad said no. I can't remember. I wasn't there.
Well, for my bit, it's going to be your mother saying no. Yeah.
I guess I was
No,
there.
his name will be Michael. I like, yeah, you are your name.
Because imagine if I was sitting here and my name was Kyle.
I would ask you to leave. I definitely wouldn't take bullet tips from you. I'd be like, how did you get in here, Kyle?
Yeah.
What's going on?
But just an interesting thing to think about.
Dang. So, Kyle, when did you decide that you wanted to join the military?
Well, originally,
Obviously, your dad influenced it.
yes. And my brother also was infantry in the Army. And he's the reason I didn't go infantry, because he told me about it. Like, he's like, dude, if you want to have a skill when you get out, don't do what I did.
That's a good brother.
Yeah.
He could have lied to you and been like, dude, it's so cool.
He's like, man, you'll become the best floor sweeper.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
pride.
And I've hung out with so many infantry guys, and I'm just like, they're some of the best people I know. Yeah.
Thank
yeah,
you.
Exactly.
Thank you.
And I do think that there's a quality you get of like that you can use the amount of shit that you all go through on a daily basis. If you either survive past it and become an awesome person, or it breaks you and you
I'm in the second part.
yeah.
I'm in the second part.
Riding that fine line between the two.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I'm in the second part. I have no real talents other than the fact that I can sleep anywhere.
But you're also really funny.
Yeah.
So that's
Well, that's because
I think that comes from the misery.
That's because I didn't get enough
dug
hugs
out of
growing
it.
up.
Yeah.
Like four to five more hugs, I would have been like, it's okay. I don't have to be performative. Instead, I'm here. No, I think about this a lot. I only really joined the infantry because of the time I enlisted.
Oh, like the wartime?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can definitively say, because you enlisted in when, 2010?
2013.
I wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
I for sure wouldn't have done. I
No.
would have probably done something combat adjacent. But 2007, 2008,
Yep.
brother.
Yeah, I mean that's when my
Live-
brother. That's when my brother went.
Yeah, live leak was everywhere, and it was
Yeah.
just like, I'm down with this shit. Just guys be like, let's go.
Yeah.
Toby Keith's talking about the red, white, and blue. Dude, you couldn't fight it.
Right.
You could not fight
Recruiting
it.
was at an all-time high.
You probably don't even remember this. Do you remember when we renamed French fries? Do you remember? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You were like, you probably still had a British accent then, a wee lad.
We call
You
them,
remember that, right, Blas?
Yeah.
Remember, like, people were like, the French
we call them chips.
No, the French didn't support the war in Iraq. Apparently, they were worried we weren't going to find any weapons of mass destruction. We did not. So, but there was this big pushback being like, you don't call them French fries anymore. You call them freedom fries. And I remember
Freedom.
ordering
Okay, that-
them
yeah.
being like, I'd like some freedom fries, please. People were like, this is a McDonald's. What are you doing?
Yes, sir. This is Chili's.
It was a real thing. It was a real thing.
Dang.
He's like, yeah, we don't call them French no more. We call them freedom
You're
fries.
like, damn it, I'm joining the infantry.
Yeah, you couldn't fight it. But if I had been here, I would have picked anything else.
So yeah, and that bled into I originally had an Army contract because my dad was Army, my brother was Army, and I wound up taking the ASVAB with an Army recruiter who just got back from Afghanistan. It was cracking me up because on the drive to the ASVAB, the dude goes on the freeway on the wrong side of the road. And he goes, I've been overseas too damn long. And he's driving between traffic. And I'm like, is this what it's like since joining the I'm like, Jesus, like this is freaking me out.
You get to the stop sign, he goes, That guy look like he's got a radio in his pocket.
Yeah,
No, sir. No, sir.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hang on. I'm going to bag him and tag him real quick.
That
Just
was
gets
my
out.
first impression of and he was legit. Like, I mean, he had just gotten back and they
Yeah.
put him on recruiting duty. And so he was inspiring us to join the fight. And
He's smoking in the.
this was, I think this was 2009 originally, because I was about to graduate high school and I had that like delayed entry sort of set up.
Yeah.
And then I did the whole, screw this, military is not for me.
Yeah.
And I took a break from that idea for a while. But then I started waiting tables at First Watch. I also worked at Firehouse Subs. But I started waiting tables at First Watch. And
I love that place.
Love that place.
oh, it's
Love
amazing.
that place.
It's actually a really good starter job. I think
Is the quality of food as good as I think it is?
Yes,
Perfect.
it's actually
Bro,
really good.
so good,
Hyping up
man.
First Watch, like
First Watch.
Great establishment.
Use promo code after action.
Yeah.
Dude.
Please.
That'd be sweet.
It'd be great.
It's
yeah.
fast. The quality's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
The stuff that happens behind the scenes, like there's a lot of server drama, but I think that happens.
That's a
everywhere you work.
restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's super turn and burn, and you get there at like 6 o'clock in the morning, you leave at 2.
That's
you-
probably the coolest part.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a brunch breakfast place.
Tips are probably good too because they're
Yeah, I think I was bringing in like average like $250 a day.
not
250
nothing.
bucks. I mean, like that's, and for me, compared to what I was making at Firehouse as a manager, I was like, I'm set for life working here.
Yeah.
And but
But Firehouse does slap, dude.
oh yeah, I still
Such
eat
a
there
good
to this
sub.
day. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But and
sure-
they're also Boar's Head quality meat and all that. So I support them as well.
If you go to Firehouse Subs,
yeah. But
what's your favorite
you gotta-
Firehouse sub? I know mine right off the top of my head.
Mine's an Italian whole on white
Mm.
with no onions, no spicy mustard. Add chopped pickles and add honey mustard.
Look at you, a man of culture.
Oh, it's the thing I get every single time.
Blas, what about you? Favorite Firehouse sub? Go.
I've never been there.
He's
You've
a-
never been to
He's a
all right.
cop. He can't
cut
do
the
it.
podcast.
He can't go. He can't go. If there was a blue line subs, he'd be there.
No, they give you all discounts, pretty sure, like free combo. or
Yeah,
something.
no, there's just not one nearby.
Oh,
So,
Mine's a hook and ladder.
wherever I live depends on how close is the firehouse.
But if
or
I
how
did
close the
go-
firehouse is.
if tuna's an option, that's what I'm getting.
Tuna.
Yeah.
Tuna.
I think
Bold
I've had
man.
that like once because when I worked there, I went on a mission to try every sub
Yeah.
to find out which one I wanted the most, and it was the Italian.
Mine's a hook and ladder.
That's like the OG. It's classic. Can't really go wrong.
What's on-
Everything-
What's on that?
Everything but tomatoes. It's got like
Ham and turkey,
ham, turkey.
Monterey Jack,
Keep going. Keep going.
lettuce, tomato, onion,
No tomato.
mayo, and spicy mustard.
See? Tell me you're not getting
That's
that.
called fully involved.
Fully involved.
That's called all
Dude,
in.
you're a good leader. He's a manager.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude.
Dang, dude.
Yeah.
You didn't even have to look at those cheat sheets that y'all
But
got, right?
I
Yeah.
enjoyed those jobs so much that I decided to join the Marine Corps.
Yeah. Well, you're
And,
becoming a titan of industry, and you're like, now I'm going to join the Marines.
Yeah, and one of the appeals to the Marine Corps was obviously like my biggest appeal was not just pull-ups, because pull-ups was I was like, oh man, a branch that does pull-ups and I'm pretty good at them. Why not?
It'd be great if that's the reason you chose it.
But it was the O course. It was the obstacle course. That was the reason I chose the Marine Corps.
Never mind. That's way better. Do you guys have obstacle courses? No, we're the Navy.
I saw
All
it.
right.
It was like a poster of a dude running the obstacle course. I was like, that looks badass as heck.
I can't make fun of you. I joined a war that was for weapons of mass destruction, and then you joined because of the O course.
Yeah,
That looks like the Ninja Warrior.
Yeah. Well, that mean like it fit right in because I was already a rock climber at the time, so it fit right in with that. And yeah, I knew I was going to join the military, and that was I was like picking which branch I wanted to join.
Yeah.
And I heard the Marine Corps was a little tougher, and I was at a point in my life where I was like, I need a kick in the ass. So
Yeah.
that was also I wanted to be
I wonder if it
pretty
is.
bitter when I left.
I feel like it is tougher, but not because of reasons people would
It's
really
longer.
understand.
I mean, boot camp wise and everything.
Boot camp, but also like, working with the Army for a few years now, up at Campbell and stuff. The main thing I've noticed is how much they have
Oh yeah.
compared to the Marine Corps.
Mhm.
And so that's why, and this is not a knock. That's why that is a noticeable, that's definitely easier. The quality of life, the opportunities in your job,
I mean,
your
you've been to
career
an Air
field.
Force base, right?
Yeah, but I'm not even comparing that.
Yeah.
But like, if you just, because I remember at its peak, the Army was like 1 million. And at its peak, the Marine Corps was like 250.
Yeah.
And we were busting at the seams in. And that was when I was in.
Yeah.
We were like, whoa, 250, that's a lot. Like, we could barely handle that. The Army's like, whatever, dude, that's a base.
Yeah.
That's like one base. That's like Campbell. So I think that's probably the hardest part too, especially, and you would know this better than anyone, you're still in the Marines, is that like, as you move up the ranks, it gets less and less. There's less opportunity, you know, because it's smaller in nature.
Yeah.
That's why they call us Few and the Proud.
Yeah.
The Marines.
Yeah. I mean, joined the Marine Corps and then got off active duty. Took a hiatus for like a year.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, personally, I had this plan, right? When I did my 4 years active.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about re-enlisting. I had I hate to say this, but I had a MARSOC package that I backed out of.
Why do you
And
have to say that?
just because it's like the whole, I would have joined the military, that was the thing. I was either going to go MESEP, which is officer,
Yeah.
MARSOC, or get out.
Yeah.
And then I found, like, I started doing social media and stuff, and I was like, this is pretty cool. And then I got my personal training degree certification while I was on active duty, and I like really fell in love with it.
Uh-huh.
And my buddy at the time, who was also stationed with me out there in Japan for like 3 years, him and I wanted to like open a gym back in Florida and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, well, when your time's up, just come meet me in Florida and we'll figure it out. And 3 days before I came off active duty, I broke my wrist. So that was really shitty. And so I couldn't do any working out. I was hopped up on the opioids and whatnot. And so that kind of fed into a wave of depression. I was like, shit, well, my escape used to be going to the gym and working out.
Mm-hmm.
And then the same week I broke my wrist, I was just laying on the couch. I got a phone call, and I got told by my buddy's wife, who was on the same ship as, his name's Sergeant Tyree Green. He hung himself.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So, and it kind of hits me. I don't talk about it often.
No, it's okay.
But yeah, so he passed away, and that was like our whole fuck, dude. It was our plan to pursue fitness because he used to work out with me, and we had all these like ideas we're gonna pursue. And so it hit me really hard that whole year I was out, because I was just building myself back up. And I always do this silly reference when I talk about this, because I remember laying on the couch and I was super depressed. And again, the drugs that they prescribe you don't help in those situations. But I was just kind of like moping around and watching Frozen. I was watching Frozen 2, and there's this part in that movie where Anna is like trying to figure out what she should do. Like Olaf had just passed away. It's something weird to get emotional about, but the next right thing, right? That's what the song was about. It was like doing the next right thing, like taking a blind step forward. Because when you have a traumatic thing like that happen, it's hard to get advice from somebody because you don't want to ask for advice. So you're just, I was really internal. I kind of didn't talk to anybody, didn't reach out to anybody for help or anything. And I think you should in that environment, but it's really hard to do because you're in such a state. And that weird event where I was watching that movie, I was like, you know what? I can either take all these pills and go the wrong direction, or if I decide not to do that, I'm gonna take my best blind step forward. And that's where it kind of bled in today. And so, damn, I didn't know I was gonna get emotional about that when I've talked about it before, but it's
fucking beautiful.
Opening old wounds.
Well, no, it shows you just how much you love him. That's you're supposed to. I mean, grief is just love with no place to go.
Yeah. And one of the events we did at a memorial event, there was a really good speech by Ben Bunn.
Fucked me up.
Dude.
Fucked me up. I tell people this story.
He said something that resonated with me so well, where once you stop speaking about somebody, that's when they truly die.
Yeah.
And so I try to talk about him as much as possible because it wrecked me for a while. And it's just something that's going to be there. It's a scar, it'll be there forever, but it's become more manageable now. And, I'm living my life with my beautiful wife, and things are good. We're getting our house.
Things are good. You're getting your house.
So, yeah, but that kind of trickled into me making that blind step forward, and then I was like, okay, I'll go to the gym and I'll see what I can do. And I still have my cast on, and like was I couldn't do pull-ups, like my one true outlet for for working out.
Yeah.
And so I started doing squats with one hand and push-ups with one hand and that sort of stuff. And then got the cast off, kept moving forward, and it kept stimulating me to keep wanting to do better. And it just developed into kind of what I do today with social media.
That's incredible, and thank you so much for sharing that. It's absolutely beautiful. We're just gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back and talk
Appreciate
more
it, man.
about everything that you're doing.
Hope you guys are enjoying the episode. If you want to continue to hear more stories like this and to help us grow the podcast, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and to also drop a rating and review. Every bit helps. Thank you so much. Now, let's get back to the episode.
Welcome back, and thank you for being here. Mike, thank you so much for spending some time with us today, and I really appreciate you being so honest and open and sharing everything you have with us, especially your friend. What was his name?
Sergeant Tyree Green.
Sergeant Tyree Green.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good buddy. The nice part is, like, these memorial bracelets.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't say they're cliche, but they're just a reminder, because it's like I was saying, it's a scar, but it's a good reminder for me now. It used to be a kind of a morbid, like, pain.
Yeah.
But now it's like I kind of use it as motivation, and that he's always around.
I've been there.
Yeah.
I've been there big time. I think I've just got out of it, honestly. It's hard. It's really hard. I think one of the biggest things I've learned recently is that people who've done, anyone who's been in the military especially, like, the amount of loss that I have in my life and you have in your life is disproportionately higher than most people. I don't know why exactly, it just is. And so it comes to a point to where, like, I've just noticed this with me, like, I'm not jaded when it comes to death, but, like, I kind of wish I wasn't so familiar with it, if that makes sense.
No, I agree. It's like my wife had somebody pass away in her life, and it's hard. Like, you've been through it enough where it's like you're desensitized to it to a degree, and so it's hard to it's just hard to be empathetic as if you were, like, first exposed to it.
Yeah, because you're honestly not supposed to be exposed to it, like, so much.
Yeah, I mean, you probably had I've had a few guys on active duty, and I was only on active duty for 4 years.
Yeah,
and it's like that. It was. I mean, and it doesn't even have to. I think the reason it hits me so hard, the stuff about Green, is because he texted me like 2 days before it happened while he was on ship.
Yeah,
and he since he committed suicide, it hits different, because I had another buddy that I taught how to do muscle ups, and then a week. So I taught him how to do muscle ups in Japan. He flew home like a couple days later, and then within that week, he got into a motorcycle accident and died. And so, like, that, to me, it sucks. Obviously, anybody passing away, but there's a lot of extra weight that comes with a friend committing suicide, because then there's just the thoughts of what could you have done, but
it's hard. It's hard. You have to. It's just something you deal with forever.
Yeah.
All the friends I've lost, I always think about, like, my connection to them prior to the moment, and then what I could have done differently. And like, you honestly don't know. You only know what people give you, and you're only able to really judge your actions after the fact, and it's often too late. But
yeah, and I got into a bad habit of pushing people away from me after it happened. And if I could give myself some advice, I would say reach out to more people, and don't close your doors, because that's what I did. And if I could give myself some advice, my former self, I'd just be like, talk to your family more and your close friends, because everybody's going through something, and you shouldn't shut yourself off from everything because of it.
Yeah. Well, you might find out you're not alone.
Oh, 100%. I mean, that's the big thing is like, you think you're the only one going through it, but everybody's going through their own version of hell, right?
Yes. Yes, they are.
And yeah. But earlier you said thank you for your transparency or being transparent.
Mm-hmm.
That's just something I'm trying to do more of. And on the note of social media, I think that needs to be done more.
Ooh.
Yeah. Because
well, then what will Adobe do with all the body dysmorphia they're giving people? Like, I mean, it's just crazy. I have like so many like thoughts about all this stuff, but I want to hear your thoughts on it.
I mean, personally, I can only speak for myself that I'm, and we can get into this as well.
I'm fine. Whatever you want to say, I promise
I used to make a lot of military content.
Okay.
Like, and it wasn't that long ago, but I was trying to do it for the right reasons. Whenever you put on the uniform and you make social media content, you get more views, you get more likes because it goes international, and a lot of people who aren't affiliated with the military it's more eye-catching or whatever the case is. It just gets more engagement and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I fell into that because I started posting on social media when I was on active duty. So it was just a part of my life.
Yeah.
And then
so you're the reason that military TikTokers exist? Is that
potentially? I've been told by a few people they started social media because of me, and I'm like,
Bella Porch.
I think that yeah, she hit me up. No. And yeah, that's another weird thing is people can go get famous now for just making facial expressions, like and become like world renowned famous. Yeah, exactly. And I'm just. We live in a different world. I think social media is the new rap music that our parents used to tell us not to listen to. And because like, you know, parents don't understand.
I didn't show up right for this conversation.
No, man, my man is dropping a lot.
He's dropping bars and then he's pulling up on them.
But we grew up in a very, a time of understanding because we were able to hit the technology boom.
Yeah.
And I mean, I played video games growing up, so I'm very computer savvy.
Mm-hmm.
But then, you know, the disconnect between where our parents, you know, still used, like the rotary phones and dial-up internet, and then now we're evolved in what we are today. There's just now the divide's huge. But then we're on both sides of the spectrum. So we grew up during the technological boom. We learned how to type on a keyboard. My dad still types with his pointer fingers.
Yeah.
And so it's like we adapted to it. We may not be as advanced as the newer generation who grows up with a phone in their hand. Like they can make videos in like a half a second.
My kids crush.
Yeah. And that's just the way the wind's blowing.
Yeah.
Right. And it's, I don't know if it's for the better or for the worse, but it's just where it's going.
Yeah.
And I think, I was thinking about this on the way here. I was like, cause I was tossing up some ideas just in regards to it. As a parent, I don't have kids yet. We're planning on having kids very soon, but
okay.
I would plan to regulate how much consumption is being done.
Yeah.
But on a broader scale, I don't, because there's some stuff out there where it's like, man, I wish that was regulated, but then I don't because I'm an advocate of free speech. And so it's like, you should be able to post and do whatever you want. And then the comment section should rip you apart if it's something that's BS.
Yeah.
Or if it's awesome, then people should be able to tell you that it's awesome. And so I think the audience should be the judge if something's good or bad. But I mean, I don't know about how much regulation there should be, but
here's a thought I have all the time. One, you're right. Military TikTok influencers are the worst, and I do blame you for it. We'll go back to your origin story.
Yeah.
But at least you don't use the uniform as a way to provide credibility when you talk about foreign affairs or different things like that. You literally we're not going to name names, but you literally just go, I'm doing this. This is what I do, as opposed to people who like pretend to have knowledge of other parts of the military who haven't even deployed or even done anything associated to the stuff they're talking about. But the main thing I miss about the internet is the lanes that used to exist, right? So it used to be like, there's adult content over here.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You know where it is. It's not like hidden. It's just there. This is sports. This is Vine or what, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is short form. This is long form. Now it's all combined, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
Why, though? And I'll push back on that a little bit. And
You know
Not o-
why? Because we used to be a country.
no.
No,
And
what
the
I
reason
don't.
why
What,
the reason why I say that is because it opens your content up to a new audience that wouldn't have discovered you had they been on just sports, had they been on just adult websites.
For sure. But if I even get close to talking about any form of a firearm, like I will get suppressed and by like Meta in particular, and then jump cut them for them to come to find the dumb content I'm making that got flagged when I was talking about range days. I didn't even show photos of the range. One of them was just my friend Jacob, who's 7 foot tall. He just happens to be 7 foot tall. But they had to swim through a sea of nudity just to get to my content and be like restricted. So like that's I think if we're gonna restrict it or do whatever, then it has to be better regulated to where like
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about with the regulation. It's
Yeah.
like, and this is what tends to happen with regulation is like they'll regulate one thing
yeah.
and then they'll creep a little further and then
Well,
creep
the government
until-
historically never released it. They never go, you know what? We got too much power.
Yeah.
You guys can have it back.
So that's why I always backtrack to I want the freedom of the community to decide rather than the business to decide. But we're all at the mercy of the algorithm.
At the mercy of the algorithm, it's, you know, I just think it should be, I think my biggest gripe is like the influx of OnlyFans stuff everywhere. Like, as
You
you're
can't get away from it.
you can't,
man.
but I'm like, literally, here's what I engage with my friends and memes. That's it. But I'm just scrolling. I'm like, what is happening?
You know what it is?
Okay,
I think,
then that's just uncovering what you do when you're not around your family.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Dude, no, it's not.
Took me a second.
It's literally not.
No.
No, but like it's literally like if I post on X, for instance, it'll be like drop a movie quote, and then it's just I'm getting hit by spam
yeah.
of like all these like nudes and whatever, blah blah blah, and I'm like, what? I'm not engaging with this. Like I'm not a monster.
What
Like
you do in the dark eventually comes to light.
Yeah.
dude, what are you doing, man? You trying to make me get divorced right now? Like this will be brought up forever. But no, like there's constantly this stuff that's being fed. I mean, if you go to the Rocks comments right now, like a verified business, it's just flooded with like porn accounts. Like it just happens.
really?
Yeah, like it
Oh,
happens
yeah.
happens to anyone. Like, and I don't understand it, and it seems harder to avoid it. My point is that it didn't used to all be like a big chaos thing, and I don't know if it should be regulated. I just think it should be like, I don't know what the right word is. I don't want the government involved. Maybe I just want the companies to take more accountability is what I want, right?
Yeah, but I think when companies get that big, they start. There's a lot of money behind the scenes being
Yeah.
moved around, so there's, certain decisions being made on what can and can't be put out there.
I think the best example of that is OnlyFans itself.
I mean, there's a solution to that too. And it's happened with like text messaging, right?
Yeah.
Like if you send like a text message that contains nudity, it blurs it out.
Really?
So it's not just blatantly on your screen.
I didn't know
It's
that.
like you have to long press it and it comes to light. And I only say that because I've had a couple cases where there's like nudity involved in photos that are being sent to the phone and they're blurred out and you actively have to long press on that.
So that means something within the system, like the iOS updates or something like that, is realizing that there's
Correct.
nudity in that photo.
But if that exists there, why can't we have it on these public
yeah,
platforms?
I don't want
Yeah.
to scroll through trying to see what my friends are doing and get bombarded with porn.
Right.
That's just it. I literally, and I'm not engaging porn on Instagram. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like what, like I like objectively, I just have too much to lose personally and professionally. If I'm like dropping comments and a girl being like, look what I did. And I'm like, what's up, girl? Veteran with a sign reporting. Like, it's just not going to happen
Yeah.
in general. But it's just weird that like you have to fight against that. But if I talk about military stuff or like, Echelon, Eric was showing me some stuff. Echelon got suppressed because it was just dudes in uniform, just dudes at an army base. And they're like, nope. But you have to like dodge everything else. I don't know. I don't think it's good because like,
That's weird. I mean, like,
and the thing I was saying, I'm sorry, but I gotta say this.
you're good.
But the thing I was saying about OnlyFans is like when it was first created, it was literally just supposed to be for artists and creators. And then they were like, They didn't change their mission. It was just supposed to be for creatives. That was how I understand it. And then like adult entertainment got on there and they're like, well, I guess this is like now the connotation's completely different of being associated. It used to be just like people were like, I make stuff out of pencils or like art or whatever.
Yeah.
And now it's like,
It used to be like that?
yeah.
It was created
I
for...
never knew OnlyFans except for like, the risque it is now.
Yeah, no, it was created for celebrities and stuff like that to give their true fans access, because if they were willing to pay for essentially their content and for them to be engaged, it would give them the opportunity to engage with them.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was just like a paywall for
Correct.
an extra
It was
social media.
honestly like the most pure, simple thing of like, we just want to create community. And then porn was
Really?
like, "Bah, we want to show nudity.
Yeah, like Amaranth showed she made like $7 million, something like that.
It's
in
the
like a month.
dude, and it's the saddest thing too, because like it's just people that have weaponized loneliness, if you think about it.
I mean, I can't imagine the psychological stuff people go through after saying like that. When they make the call, okay, I've done this for 3 years. I got my bag. I'm out. Like, there's got to be some little bit of internal suffering that goes on afterwards.
I don't know. I just feel like it's something that would like follow you forever.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, when porn stars stop porn, like, I don't think they bounce back like to a movie gig right off
There's
the bat.
Netflix documentaries about it.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Probably not good, is what I'm guessing.
No, it's not at all. And
Yeah. I
you'll
can't
quickly
imagine.
find out your kids start to suffer more than you do.
It's,
Mm.
yeah, like that's like I don't know. We've like blurred the lines between like celebrity and entertainment, and everyone is like chasing the dragon of attention because you know better than me, and I know in the smallest way that attention's not really what it's cracked up to be. And it's cool at first, but then it starts to feel restricting, at least in my opinion of it. Like I'm like to the point where I'm intentional to what I'm talking
Oh,
about,
yeah.
and like where I am and where other like, if I'm somewhere, like I want to make sure that like people, if I'm out of town, I want people to know that.
Yeah.
Or like whatever, because like I have a family and things like that. And then like it's cool until like, I don't know, it just feels like people are watching you more than like,
Oh, for sure.
like after I did Jocko, someone stopped me in the street as I was running.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
And I was like, that's new.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
What's up, man? And I was just, a guy just pulled over and was like, hey, dude, I'm a big fan. Your Jocko episodes. And I was just like, oh, go.
yeah. No, and I think there's a way to embrace that. Like,
Yeah.
It's awesome that that's happening, but it is the life you choose to live. Like,
It's different.
Your stuff is out there, so
It's different. It's different
Yeah.
because you're just like, I was just making jokes about Marines and soldiers,
yeah,
But I don't know. Here we are now, though.
yeah,
And that's fun.
yeah.
Finally, guys, two guys in their 30s on a podcast. It's a new concept.
That's it.
3 guys in their 30s.
Sitting
Excuse
down,
me.
having a
Yeah,
conversation.
Yeah. What's the deal with taxes? Business, taxes, finance. Sorry, I'm stroking the YouTube algorithm. Business, spreadsheets. I'm trying to get it to boost us in a different lane.
Yeah. Talk about that broad audience, right?
Yeah. Anyways, if there's anything I learned at business school, but broad audience. Tell me what you did in the Marine Corps. What was your job? What is your job?
So I am a motor transport maintenance chief.
Okay, pretend like I don't know what that is.
I
know.
I'm a glorified diesel mechanic.
All right, cool.
Yeah. And now I'm a glorified diesel mechanic supervisor.
Okay, so here's a question, Motor T, and I mean this, and I don't want to be derogatory. I
No, go
just
for
mean
it.
this. Why are you guys always late?
Because there's so much logistics that go into getting every vehicle that goes out has to have everything logged before it can push out and inspected and like prior diagnostics of its history of like where was it fixed last month or something like that. So it's like all this lineage of stuff that's happened.
Lineage.
Yeah, to push out this vehicle.
Mhm.
And then if you're talking about a convoy, it's multiple vehicles.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the drivers will get there at like 4 a.m.
Oh, no, I know. I
For
got
a-
my Humvee license.
Yeah. So
And my MRAP
and
license.
the convoy doesn't push out till 11 and they still push out a little bit late.
It was rough.
Yeah.
Every time we would order vehicles, 1 to 2 of them wouldn't show up. And I was like, dude,
That
was
could be
there,
because they might have broken
was
down.
there a line at
Yeah.
Motor Pool? Like, no. Also, why is it called pool?
I don't know.
I made a Instagram about it.
Motor pool.
It was
I never thought about that.
a Humvee doing a fording exercise where it goes into the thing.
That could be it.
And I was like, that's why they call it motor pool. And it got 20 million views.
Yes, dude.
Like just 5 seconds of me being like, I guess that's why they call it that. We're like, this guy's the greatest thing to comedy since Carrot Top.
Yeah,
Like,
man.
it was-
I never thought about it. Motor pool.
and you're in charge.
What
You
else?
never thought
What would you
about
call it if you didn't have a?
it. Huh?
If it wasn't called a motor pool? what would you
Motor
call it?
pool? If it wasn't called motor pool?
Yeah.
A junkyard.
Junkyard. Junkyard. Fast and Furious.
Yeah. See, motor
Hang on.
pool.
Hang on. What's another name for motor pool? Blas. Hang on. Wheels Up. Nope.
These are terrible alternatives.
Convoy Center.
Convoy Depot.
Convoy Depot's a
I
good
like
one.
Depot. That's
Convoy
good.
Depot.
But there's already a depot on base, so
Yeah,
can't be using that twice.
you're right.
They probably snuck it in there just because it fit. You know?
Motor pool is good. I just don't know why.
Yeah, man.
It's just like one of those things that stuck. You're like, yeah, I guess,
don't know
I don't know. Call it like motor pool.
Yeah.
Say that again, Smith. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't. Is there an animal that's? It's like, oh, there's a pool of fish. I know it's a school of fish, but
It does make sense because they're pulling together.
yeah.
My experience in motor pool is very specific. I would show up for my Humvee license. I did that for like a week, scammed out of the week of work because they're like, it goes until 5. And like we were done by noon every day. And I just went home. And then I got my MRAP license, which that was scarier only because they're like, yeah, so there's like a blind spot. And I was like, where? And they're like 20 feet around the vehicle everywhere. And I was like, no way. They're like, yeah, for real. If you're there, you'll get run over. You'll die. The end. And you're looking out of a hole like this big. And you're just like, what?
Yep.
Doing 40 miles an hour around Camp Lejeune. It was awesome. Not as awesome as being in Okinawa, though. What was that like?
So I visited Okinawa, but I was in Iwakuni.
Bless you. So what does that mean? I don't know anything about this.
Yeah. No, so Oki's an island, like a sub-island. I don't think they would like me saying that, but it's an island off of Japan.
Off the coast of Japan.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's Oki. I went there for sergeant's course where I broke the obstacle course speed record.
Nice.
Yep. But I was in Iwakuni, which is mainland Japan.
Nice.
And it was probably one of the best times of my life. Just in regards to getting I think it's different when you get like TAD or just like a temp station to like you get 30 days out there or something like that. But
Yeah.
I was out there for just under 3 years.
You like lived
Yeah,
there.
yeah. So I was there.
So you were like able to go out in town.
Yeah.
All I ever hear is the grunts that rotate out of, what is it, Hanson? Is that the base?
That's an Oki, yeah.
Yeah. They just rotate out of like the tent barracks and they only get to go out like once every
Yeah.
month because
That's
they,
what I'm talking about. Is
they
like,
break the rules every time they go out. So
Yes.
it's not like, oh, I don't
and they're
understand
pretty
it.
restricted. Like we had to have cards to check out, and you had a curfew. You have to be back at a certain time. So it's not like America where you can just go out in town until Monday morning. But yeah, I mean, like the cool part for me was the cultural experience because since we were on mainland, as soon as you went off base,
Yeah.
it was just rural Japan.
That
And
sounds
so-
kind of sick.
It was. And so I would take like bike rides and stuff. And it's kind of crazy. I would go on runs on the street and then off to the right, there'd be like a little trail that was carved into the mountain. And it's like a 4-mile trail that I was like, okay, let me go see how this goes. That goes up and somebody like hand carved the mountainside and with steps that you could run up. And it went on for miles. And so it must have taken forever. But
Whoa.
little spots, there were like little lookout areas where you could see all of mainland Japan, or at least as far as I could see. And there was stuff like that just I really soaked in, and I really liked that.
Part of Japan's on the mainland is connected to like a continent. My message,
Like-
Japan's all islands, right?
It's just the main part of Japan is just one island.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it was on Iwakuni is part of that one big island.
See, this is how little I know about this.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not even trying to be funny. I'm just trying to understand
No.
it.
The other cool opportunity that a lot of people didn't get is since I was stationed in Iwakuni, I had a meritorious sergeant board that they were putting me on. So
Nice.
I was a good Marine while I was active duty, and they afforded me the opportunity to fly to Iwo Jima and go hike Mount Suribachi. So that was a really cool experience as well.
That's sick.
Yeah, and like you don't get afforded that in the States when you're stationed there because it's such a. I mean, we took a C-130, so it wasn't a very comfortable flight, but it's like a 2.5 hour flight. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure. to Iwo Jima, and we landed right on there. And it's like, I don't think you could do that as a civilian. Like, you have to be affiliated with the military because it's a military installation on that place.
I think they do like once
They probably do.
quarter something.
Yeah.
I'm 99% sure it's through like the Marine Corps League or something.
Yeah.
It's like a very specific thing because it's a historical place. I don't know who owns that. Because I know we lease everything from Japan.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Mm.
Didn't look into
I have
that.
a question. This will probably get cut. I hear stories of certain entertainment that's out in town.
Oh.
In Okinawa. Jackpot. Here comes a clip. No, I'm just kidding. Did you go to a banana show?
Nope.
Do the banana shows exist?
I've had friends that have told me that they're real
Only Marines
based
would,
on their experience.
yeah, only Marines would put this to the test. What's weird about military bases in particular is how like integrated that stuff is into the culture. Like you're like, oh, it's a military town, and like right as you drive off the base,
Oh.
it's like, welcome to guacamole wrestling. Just like,
Plus, you can go like 20 miles off base and you'll still run. It's like all retired veteran shop owners.
yeah,
Like, especially in, I think it's Wilmington,
yes,
North Carolina.
yes.
Yeah.
A lot of cool dudes there.
Oh, yeah.
A lot
They're
of cool dudes
But I was just
there.
like, it's crazy that like everybody tends to stay in that area.
Yeah, I don't get it. It's like people walked until their feet got tired, and then they're like, I live
a
in
flag.
I live in Sneed's Ferry now.
Yeah, I
like
live here now.
Holly Ridge, Sneed's Ferry, Wilmington, Topsail, Emerald Isle. They just
Yep.
kind of like, they're like, I'm this person now. Which I always said, like, being a Marine's cool, but I don't think it would be cool to live like where everyone still knows you're a Marine, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that was the cool part about being in Japan as well. Because once you went off base, it was like, I mean, nobody knew you.
Yeah.
They knew you were American, but
Yeah.
by
your haircut.
Yeah. The cool thing though is, I mean, I love rock climbing, and
I know you do.
yeah, I've been a climber for 15 years now. And when I was stationed in Japan, I built a climbing wall in my barracks room. But before that, we used to take a taxi to the train station, then a train to the city, and then get an electric bike. I found this little area where you could rent electric bikes, and they were just sitting there. And we would take those, ride them like 3 miles, and go rock climb at the gym. I would take a few Marines with me who didn't know how to climb, and then just travel back. But that got old after a while because it was like a 4-hour event just to get to the gym.
Yeah.
And so the funny story is I decided to build, I didn't tell anybody. And in Japan, we, as an NCO, you get your own room. And so I was like, man, a climbing wall would fit really well right here above this second mattress. I was like, I think I can get it done. And so
This is a crazy story. By
the
the way.
logistics of how it
Yeah.
happened was like, I'm just glad it worked out, because in Japan, you need a license to drive
What?
off base. Like it's called a SOFA license, and I guess it's so you can drive off base. I didn't
Okay.
have one of those.
You should have been like, no, I'm an American.
I mean, you could drive on base,
Yeah.
but not off base. And I needed to go to the local Japanese like Home Depot.
Yeah.
And so I had measured the room, like measured the wood and all that. I knew.
Did
how
you tell
long-
anybody this? Or
My platoon sergeant at the time. Shout out to Sergeant Martin.
hey, shout out Sergeant Martin.
I think he's Staff Sergeant Martin now.
Sorry, shout out Staff Sergeant.
Yeah.
Hey, good to go, Staff Sergeant.
But he was my platoon sergeant, and I was
Yeah.
like, I didn't tell him what it was for. I
Yeah.
just told him, hey, I need to drive to this Home Depot. And he goes, well, to pick up some wood.
Mhm.
He didn't ask, and the nice part about Sergeant Martin, he didn't ask me any questions. He was like, all right.
That's a seasoned platoon
Yeah,
sergeant.
yeah. He was good to go. And,
Whatever. He's not, as long as he doesn't kill anybody.
yeah. And we didn't have a truck. So I had to rent a truck from on base, have him drive me to the Home Depot, get all the wood pre-cut at the Japanese Home Depot.
What's it called? The Japanese Home Depot?
I don't remember. That's the reason I keep calling it the Japanese Home Depot. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what it's called, but it's it's exactly the same as Home Depot.
Yeah.
And got all the wood, and then we put it all in the back of the truck, drove back to the barracks.
And not one question.
No question. Yeah,
he's
he
not
was-
like, Eckert.
No.
No. He's just like, well, he like looks at the wood, like, doesn't look as big as a coffin. You
Yeah,
know?
he didn't ask any questions.
It's kinda weird.
But I had a good rapport with him.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm not doing anything sketchy.
Brother,
I'm
I would
just-
have questions.
Yeah, yeah. And so he parked the truck at the barracks with all the wood in it.
Yeah.
And then I contacted my Lance Corporal Underground.
Mhm.
I went up to the duty NCO who was there, and I distracted him while my Lance Corporals brought all the wood up 3 flights of stairs and all the way down to my room. And then they piled it all up next to my bed. And then myself and Sergeant Martinez, I bought him a 6-pack of beer, and he helped me build the thing in the room. And then, yeah, so I had this 13-foot rock climbing wall from wall to wall in my barracks room. It was just like an angle. And
Is it still there?
no, I took it down before I left. But the funny thing is, I had it in there for months. And because NCOs run field day and all that,
Yeah.
which, looking back, I'm like, somebody could have had something sketchy in their room and they weren't checking rooms.
They did. It just wasn't your room.
Yeah.
They did.
But
Your staff sergeant, that's why he didn't ask you questions. He's like,
yeah. And so,
he seems harmless.
yeah. Well, at the time, I was a corporal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, he's all right.
Yeah.
Eckert's all right.
And I was at the end of the hall. So I was like, just waiting out there. I was like, Staff Sergeant, how's it going? And,
Yeah.
and he never. And the funny thing is, if you look in my room, you can see it's clean. But off to the right is where the climbing wall was. So it was like you had to walk deep into my room to see it.
Dude, I would pay money to hear what your neighbors thought was happening.
Dude, that's the whole reason I started Instagram. So
Because you're just like, no, move it to the right.
Move it to the so you're absolutely right about that.
Yeah.
So anyway, I guess the building part of it. So as I was building it, there's these things called T-nuts that go in the back of the holes. And so it threads the holes. And there was about 150 I needed to hammer in there. And so for an hour and a half straight, I'm just putting one T-nut down, smashing it twice with a hammer. But I didn't realize it was projecting all the sound into the room below me.
Yeah.
And so after I was like 50 T-nuts in, I get like a smashing, like pounding on my door.
Yeah.
And I forgot his name, but he was the guy who lived down there. And he was like, what the hell? He's like, I hear bang, 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 bang for like 30 minutes straight. He goes, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'll be honest, come check this out. And I showed him the climbing wall and he goes, son of a bitch, I was so mad. It was so constant. And he goes, I was like, I have about 100 more. Is that cool? And he's like, yeah, dude, do whatever you gotta do.
Whatever, dude.
Yeah. But built the climbing wall, used it for a while. The nicest part is I was starting to train. I have a video. I had like 20 Marines in my room at one point, like 3 on the climbing wall, 2 doing push-ups in my barracks room. And then like 6 in the hallway doing handstand push-ups and all that stuff. Because I was training Marines. I was using the climbing wall to help Marines do their pull-ups.
Did anybody in charge know that this was happening?
No, and that's where I'm getting at.
No one knew.
Nobody knew until I went.
So you're starting a cult and no one knows.
Yeah, and I had names on my fridge of like all the people in their pull-up records and stuff like that. And it was like our Marines were getting strong, right?
Yeah.
I got one Marine from 0 pull-ups to 20, and it was great. But it was going well for a few months, and then I got TAD to corporal's course.
Yeah.
And I was gone. They ran a health and comfort, which is where the CO and sergeant major walk through every room to make sure.
Because something bad happened.
Because, they could be something in there that shouldn't be in there.
Yeah.
And I got back from corporal's course, and over the loudspeaker of the unit, you hear Sergeant Eckert come to the CO's office. Just like in front of, the other 600 people in the squadron. And I was like, I wonder what they want. And
what do you mean?
I didn't know why. But then as I was walking to the CO's office, I was like, they did that health and comfort. I was like, they found my climbing wall. And I was walking into I see the CO sitting at his desk and the sergeant major's in there with him, which like rarely happens.
Yeah.
And they're like, shut the door. And I was like, good to go. So I got up in front, stood at parade rest, and he goes, we found what was in your room. And I was like, all right, what do you think? And he was like, it's a climbing wall, right? And I was like, yes, sir. And the sergeant major goes, that shit's badass. and I was like, and the first thing that came out of my mouth was, does that mean I can keep it in there? And he goes, you keep training Marines in there and he's like, I love that shit.
Yeah.
And Sergeant Major Tennell, he was
shouts out.
Yeah. He retired, but he let me keep it in the room, and
he sounds awesome.
Yeah, he was a big CrossFit guy and health.
Okay, you got
nut.
lucky.
Yeah.
So, you got lucky.
Yeah, and
anyone else, they would have pinned you to that wall, as they pull you off of it.
Yeah. So it all.
Oh, you think we can build walls in here, huh, Marine? And you're like, no, Sergeant Major, God no.
So it all buffed out, and I got to keep the wall for the next like year and a half.
Can you imagine the story they tell? Listen, me and the sergeant major, we had some kids. They were doing some stuff. We go and there's some liquor in different rooms. We come across this young guy. His name's Eckert, right? He's a sergeant. We go in there. I don't know what the fuck's going on. There's like rocks on the wall and shit. He's obviously stuffing bodies back there.
Dude, it was massive. Like it took up all like.
You have the photos, right?
Yeah.
Of course, you got to send them so we can put it in the thing.
Yeah.
You showed me once. It's so great. You're such a sweet, innocent person that like your first thought is like, I wonder what they want to talk to me about. Me, I would have been switching keys with someone, being like, dude, hey, give me your key, dude. Give me your key. I live in 213. You live in 212 now. Like,
dude.
They'd be like, I don't know, Sergeant Major. I live in 213.
Well, I was pretty good at riding that line of like not doing something stupid. Like, I mean, I think if I would have gotten in more trouble if I had a hot plate in my room. Because you remember that rule where like you can't
hot plates, liquors, and gun.
Yeah, we had a
and
guy.
Guns, dude. Every health and comfort, I would literally just you would see the doors open and just like arsenals, hot plates, and liquor just coming out. And guys putting it in their car like idiots, being like, "Oh, they can't check my car," and then they go to their car. And
they check
trouble.
everything.
Yeah,
but the
dumb.
funny thing is, we had a guy who had a hot plate in his room and he was cooking chicken, and the thing caught on fire, and they were coming through to do inspections and stuff. I guess they were going in people's rooms.
Mm-hmm.
He takes his flaming hot plate and throws it into his dresser drawer with all his clothes.
Yeah.
And it sets his whole room on fire.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can see why they don't want those in there.
He's now an executive at Raytheon. Yeah.
But
we had a kid put a whole pizza in his drawer. It was crazy. He took it out of the box and he put skivvy shirts on top of the pizza. And I'm not gonna say his name because he would like to be known for that. He was horrible. He was everyone's nightmare.
okay.
But I'd be like, man, why does this room smell? And he had forgot for weeks. He apparently didn't use this drawer. I don't know how. It had clothes in there. And he's like, oh, what's that smell? No, it was just pizza.
Moldy pizza
that he had put skivvy shirts and silkies on top of.
And I mean, I get the whole health and comfort thing. Like, you got to do that because some of the Marines are just...
They're idiots.
Yeah, they're just nasty.
And gross.
And I get the field day, too. Field day was my least favorite day of the week.
I like it.
Until I became an NCO.
And then you're like, this is fun.
And I was like, all right, this ain't too bad.
This isn't too bad.
Yeah.
Clean your room, boots.
Exactly, dude.
I used to say the craziest stuff. I used to love doing it. Be like, hey, if you still remember the Warriors breakfast, get the fuck over here. You got a police call. If I've been overseas longer than you've been in the Marine Corps, come here. Like, just
dude,
making them clean up stuff, and it was fun.
Memes don't hit me very hard, but there was one recently that was the Rock and Kevin Hart, where somebody dubbed over the staff NCO and like a Lance Corporal or something like that. And they said, he goes, "Are you in or are you out?" And he goes, "Oh, for what?" And he goes, "Doesn't matter." And he's like, "Are you in or are you out?" And he goes, "Well, then I'm out." And he goes, "Sorry, you're already in."
Yeah, you're in.
It's like when somebody asks for volunteers.
Yeah. There was actually one time where our lieutenant tried to show up for a field day, and like I had to talk to him and be like, "Hey, this isn't." He's like, "I want to see what it's like." And I was like, "You want to see me torture these kids?" Like, I'm just gonna make them clean. If they do good, they'll be fine. If they don't, which most of them don't, especially when they're boots, until they're like, just clean your room, just like keep your room clean.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't want to clean it. I want to play Call whatever. Just clean your room and everything's easier. We had to send our lieutenant away, but he used to love to try and like get duty on Thursdays just to watch it.
I would say though that like some people take it a little. I was pretty reasonable. I was like, your room's gonna be clean, and I want your room to be clean enough that if somebody else came into here, they're not gonna find anything. But there's some people like my old sergeant who would go into the ceiling tiles, lift them up, and I was like, dude, that's dust from like the 1930s.
Yeah, we're not doing that. No, it just had to look good, and a tactic. This is a tactic that can't be used anymore. But if your room was kind of in disarray, it was like paying taxes, basically. Dudes would put out like Playboys or like leave like I kid you not, a log of dip. So when the platoon sergeant would come through, he wouldn't even look. He would just like grab the log of dip. It was like a dowry. He's like, all right, whatever. And he would like, sometimes you got to pay the piper, dude. What, $20 once a month? That's not too bad.
Yep.
That's not too bad to be left alone.
Until they do those health and comforts and find like a meth lab in there and stuff.
Health and comforts were always rough.
Yeah.
I was just like, dude, we're about to get yelled at for a long time. It'll be all right.
Where were you stationed?
Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, 2nd Marine Division.
What
first,
barracks were you in?
1st Battalion, 6th Marines. We were behind Heroes
Okay.
on L Street
Hmm.
or H Street. I can't remember exactly.
I was wondering if you shared how were those barracks?
They demolished them not long after we
so
left.
those were the ones they condemned.
Yeah, they condemned him like 5 minutes later.
Yeah, they condemned a few of I'm pretty sure the French Creek barracks.
Really?
Yeah.
Those were the nice ones.
We stayed in like that little like circle around barracks.
I know
area.
exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
With like the dust bowl in front of it.
Mhm.
Yep.
I know exactly what you're talking about. We would go over there to that gym too, and I would always see like one of my Marines was like, "Who is that guy?" And I was like, "That guy's a fucking airplane mechanic." He's like, "How can you tell?" And I was like, "Look at his fucking traps." Like, obviously, he works out 7 days a week. We don't get to do that. Go do pull-ups, numb nuts.
I do see a lot of the saltiness. Like I have enough infantry buddies and stuff and I have a good group of guys that I know that like support me on social media and stuff. But then if somebody who doesn't support me in their infantry, like, fuck this guy. He works out all the time. He's not an infantry. And I was like, I get it. I just chose a different job.
Yeah, dude, that's kind of lame. And that guy definitely hates his life. But like, it's just when you're in, it sucks because you're like, especially during that time, like you're like, dude, I would love to work out like more regularly. But like, that's stuff I've learned. My only problem with the grunt versus POG thing is when people lie about their service. It's the fastest way for me to like
lie about it. As
don't blush, chuckle. He knows it's like a soft point on me.
Oh, like pretend like there's something they're not or something.
Yes, it's
Just ask them the question.
Yeah. So people will say stuff like, I was they'll be like, I was special forces. I'm like, okay, what was your job? And like, well, I was attached to special forces. I'm like, okay, that's funny.
Yeah.
You know, I bought a Southwest ticket, but I'm not a pilot. You know what I'm saying? You were there. That's fine. But like, there's always this, it's always the same thing. People are always just trying to jazz up the record. Just like, be honest. No one really cares what you did. The God's honest truth is it's not that compelling.
Yeah.
In the infantry, you just walk in a circle. You can call it what you want. It's just a circle.
I mean, but in the Marines, every Marine's a rifleman.
What are you doing right now? What are you doing right now? See, look at him.
I know that's a soft
It is
subject.
not true. You know why? Because that was my job.
Yeah.
You have your job. And you wouldn't be like, Zach, will you help me fix this vehicle? I'd be I'm not going to do that.
So, I mean, do you think that Marines as a whole, because every branch of service has admin and all this other stuff, do you think the Marines as a whole are better overall riflemen?
Yeah, because there's more annual rifle training and the other branches don't do it.
Because I can see that.
There is a higher level of weapons proficiency, but that doesn't mean that like everyone could do the job of a Marine Corps rifleman.
Yeah.
It's a gateway drug of stolen valor. It's low level entry to stolen valor because if you can do my job, then I can be a pilot. I can be a mechanic. It's just not the same.
Yeah.
But I can feel my teeth starting to hurt. Thanks, Blas. What it really comes down to is when people lie about that, just that alone, it's what sets up all of us as a whole for when we apply for jobs, when you try to do things post-military career to where it hurts the reputation as a whole. Because people think everyone's either a Navy SEAL or not.
Yeah.
And then
I see that.
Just those little embellishments, which are lies, set up everything else where people, I mean, like I've literally been like getting real jobs and they're like, did you do this? Because like certain things I would find, like captains, for instance, always got good jobs because captain's a cool title. They don't know exactly what that means, but if you say captain or like lieutenant or whatever, like your average civilians, like those sound cool.
I had that rank in Call of Duty.
Yeah, so that's what, that guy must be smart. Like it doesn't, there's like all these kind of like weird, what am I looking for? Connections and stuff that's just not real. So like, I think in general, if we're more honest about what we did in our time in the military, then we could be more honest about.
That's what it comes down to.
Getting
in
help.
General,
yeah,
is the transparency of who you are and what you represent.
Yeah.
Like authenticity. I think that I don't think it's ever going to happen to the extent that I wanted to. But just think about social media, right? All you get is wave tops of people.
Yeah,
and you never like. I've met so many people that I'm like, man, I follow them on Instagram. Can't wait to meet them. And they're just shitty people in real life.
Well, I don't want to talk about Bartell, but yeah.
No. But like,
Just kidding. I love
big
you.
name
Everyone go
followers,
buy
right?
Echelon. What?
big name followers.
Yeah.
That have a huge influence on people, and I have all these following, and influence is a powerful thing. Like, if somebody has a bunch of followers, they can influence people.
Yeah.
But when I wish that people would be more transparent online, and it's just I don't think that'll ever happen because people are so glued to the short cocaine type of social media where you get the wave tops, you get entertainment or whatever it is right off the rip, and you don't get much more like under the surface.
I'm amazed by how many people think it's real.
Yeah, dude, that's what I'm saying. Well,
And they get to vote on stuff. It should be like a test. Like, do you know him? And they're like, I've been following him for years, but yeah, do you know him? Like, what's his wife's name?
yeah,
Like, oh, I don't know. You can't vote. Like, I've never looked at the Hulk and been like, that's real. But people look at their phone. They know I'm making it. They know we're creating it like this, but they're still like, that is real. I seen it. It makes sense to me. The end. That worries me.
yeah. Oh, 100%.
I've never looked at anything being presented to me as entertainment as reality.
Yeah, I mean,
Unless it's like, here is historical footage from World War II.
I do think this right here, the podcast setting is beautiful because it's raw, it's unedited.
It will
uncut.
be. Yeah, we got, yeah.
Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
maybe slightly edited.
Yeah.
But you get what I'm saying. Like it's long form content that allows you to see if somebody's like,
Yeah, I want people to meet you.
bullshitting or
Yeah,
not,
I want
right?
people to know
Yeah.
you and know me and know him because like it's all, we're all just, hey, like it's like my grandpa with his thumb. Like I want to do more than that.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
I like the even when because I try to stay out of politics a lot just because ignorance is bliss to some extent and it's all chaos.
Mm-hmm.
But when I do watch, I don't watch the news. I watch podcasts.
Yeah.
Because I like the deep questioning over a long period of time because that runs. Like if somebody's on their game for 3 hours and able to bullshit for 3 hours, good on them. But that's like the very low percent of people.
Yeah.
But the rest, it's like you can vet if somebody's like a bullshitter or not based on long form podcasts. And I think that's why this is so valuable.
I think people are desperate for anything authentic.
Yeah, because it's a breath of fresh air in these days.
Yeah, especially when like, people are doing things that are purely performative and is placating the right word? I don't know. Like doing things, what is it called when you do things just for
That wasn't on the ASVAB, dude.
Do things for what?
I don't know, just for the likes, like, simple low level stuff. I don't know what I'm trying to get
I
to.
was gonna say placating is intended to make someone less angry or hostile.
Yeah, I guess maybe that's not it. I don't know, because I always say this. There's like a few things I know that'll do like okay if I make it, but like I also the stuff that's always most successful is the things that have the least amount of effort. You know that. That's just But I'm always fascinated by people who don't take a stance or have an opinion and just make content regardless. That has to feel empty at a certain point. Like I'll never project like my real feelings on stuff. Like, in general, I'm pretty simple to understand. Like I'm
Maybe
a guy.
one day when you're too big to fail, that's when I'm going to hear the real sound.
Oh, brother. Yeah, I'll leak a group chat. I don't give a shit. Like you'll be like, what's up with Zach? He doesn't wear shirts anymore. I'm like, yeah, he's got a bag. Like it'll be stuff like that. But it'll be like, yeah, I don't wear shirts, dude. Shirts are old.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's not even that I feel like I have the ability to influence one or the other. I just don't think it matters. My general stance on things are like, more freedom, less government. Like it's not that complicated. That's not, I'm not like, oh, I like the blue tie guy or I like the red tie guy or he said this, they said that. Like I'm just not doing that. Like, cause they're doing the things to get people to believe in them too. And so like, all I have to say is that like, I try to do as little personalized perspective on things in general, because I think about what Michael Jordan said.
What do you say?
Democrats buy shoes too. Like something to that effect of like, he did. He said something like that. Like, cause they would always try and be like, do you like, so-and-so? And he's like, Democrats buy shoes. Like, it's cause realistically it doesn't matter.
They were trying to force him to endorse somebody.
Yeah, they're trying to force him to endorse somebody. I think it was Clinton actually. Or whatever. I can't remember who it was, but he's like, yeah, Democrats buy shoes or Republicans buy shoes. It doesn't matter. But like, because what I've noticed too, and this is what's weird, and I know you can speak about this too, is like you start to get to this place where people are like, what do you think about blank? And you're like, I don't know.
Oh yeah.
I'm always like, dude, I have notes on my phone. I write on cardboard in my garage. That's the extent of my abilities.
I do think, though, to an extent, it is good to have, an opinion that isn't so polarizing that it destroys your business, right?
Yeah.
Because we all have opinions that
Yeah.
we want to share,
Yeah.
but it's better to stay a little more neutral, just for the sake of when you pitch that, you can say anything. It's the same saying as like, you can be the sweetest peach in the entire world, but there's going to be somebody out there who doesn't like peaches.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. No matter what you say, somebody's going to have an opposing opinion about it. Like
Mhm.
even when I talk about grip strength, people are like, well, the way the kinetic chain actually, and I'm like, dude, that's the nice part about being an admin of my page is I can just block people. I've gotten to the point where I'm so desensitized, or just like, I will read them. Like I won't just blindly delete them, but I will read them
And restrict them.
block them. It's just how it is. I don't even want to engage in it. And people are like, you should engage in the arguments and whatnot. And I'm just like, I just don't care enough.
No. Like, I love restricting people
Yeah.
because they're just be like overly hateful, whatever. I very rarely block people unless it's like uncontrolled vitriol and hate.
Restricting still allows them to like see content and comment, right?
They can see it, but only they see their content.
Yeah.
Their comment.
I had a guy, I did restrict one guy who commented on my video, and it's funny because sometimes I'll let it ride, and my audience does a pretty good job of responding for me.
Same.
Which I love. And I saw this guy, and he was like, had valid arguments, up to like the third or fourth comment. And then he went on the attack mode and was like, well, you're a stupid dummy. And like started saying some off the wall stuff, right?
Yeah.
Said worse stuff than that.
Yeah.
But
He's like, because of you, Building 7 fell.
yeah, dude. And so he just like started losing face. And I was like, I like this because now he's showing who he really is in these comment section, and he's losing credibility. But then I restricted him, and now he just keeps arguing with himself.
Well,
so
he
I
doesn't
see
know
all
that.
these hidden comments.
He doesn't know that. That's the best part. So for anyone who doesn't know, if you feel like your crazy comments aren't getting attention, it's because we restricted you.
Yeah.
That means only we see you and no one else. That's why no one engages with you. Maybe if you didn't have crazy behavior online, it wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
We have freedom of speech. We don't have freedom of consequences. God bless America.
That's good. I like that.
It's just the facts. Everything that people do in my comments overall is nothing I've ever done on the internet.
Yeah.
It endlessly fascinates me. It endlessly fascinates me. The way complete strangers will be like, well, actually,
Yeah.
This guy.
I'm just saying, everybody, that's the other thing too, is like everybody seems to have an opinion about everything. And
I
I'm going to
don't-
tell you right now that I try to stay away. Like if I don't, like even before the podcast started, I told you I don't know enough to speak on something.
Yeah.
I just won't, because
Me too.
unless I'm yeah.
Yeah.
But
Like, you're supposed to do that.
yeah, but you see on social media, and it is because you're reaching out to such a broad audience, but everybody who thinks they have to say something just because this post made them feel something or whatever the case is. I mean, maybe sometimes it's okay to have your opinions and keep them to yourself.
We seem to be the minority in that. Like, just in general, the way people even there was a whole few months where people wouldn't stop talking about my tattoos, which they're dumb. I don't care. They're mine. You don't have to get them. And they're permanent. And they would talk about my tattoos and my body, or just
Oh, really?
there was one guy for months. I was 60 posts in, and he would comment a never ending amount of comments. Did you know this guy wears the same stuff every day? That was his contribution to the world, is he would wake up and be like, you're still wearing the same shirt? It's I'm like, yeah, just go back. You can see it's been the same thing each time. But and then it's a slow burn. They always start off kind of jabby, and then they just start blatantly attacking.
That's what I'm
you.
saying.
It's a slow form of psychosis, to be
Yeah.
honest. And then it was to a point to where I wanted to shut it all down because the overall tone wasn't good and people weren't understanding it. And then May 1st of 2020, it just went like that. That same person was like, I've been here since day one. I've loved everything this guy's. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
He's like, I love everything this guy does. He's the best. And it's just weird because it is a relationship. But what I feel like people do very weirdly is they connect in these ways that they feel are more real than the creator is, because like I'm just making stuff. I've never done stuff honestly to like get likes or follows or attention. I've just always been like, this entertains me.
Yeah.
Like my wife famously said to me once, "You've got to stop making stuff online for you and your 10 friends."
Yeah.
Look at me now. Like, no, but like, it's true. Like I just made stuff to make myself and other people I care about laugh.
Yeah.
And I'm always going to do that. I've never been like, this will get attention. This will help. This will, do whatever. So I don't know. I don't have that.
Sometimes
same
you probably you've been doing it long enough to know if something is gonna do better than most.
If I talk about boot camp,
yeah,
it's shared experiences, stuff like if I go like real broad, like if I hit,
and that's just from exposure. It's not necessarily you're predicting what's going to happen based on what you're doing. It's just
more people have done it, more people will connect to it.
Yep.
But not as many people have been on American Ninja Warrior though.
That's true.
That's why they call me Segway Sally. So
hey.
You were in Japan doing your ninja training, and that's when you're like, I want to take this global.
Actually, I did Ninja Warrior before joining the Marine Corps. I did Ninja Warrior before.
You did it before you joined the Marine Corps?
Mm-hmm.
What year was that?
2012.
2012.
Yeah.
You went up to Mount Suribachi, whatever it's called. Is that what it's called? I feel like they have it.
Mount Midoriyama.
That's Mount Midoriyama. Sorry, I'll get canceled because I messed it up. I don't know. But you went to a casting call? How does that work?
No, it was funny because I was sitting on the couch one day watching G4, like the OG Ninja Warrior.
Oh, back when what's her name was hosting it?
Olivia Munn. I was just talking about this the other day, so I remember these names.
Psylocke, yeah.
And what was that? Jessica Underhill? Is that her name?
I think that's who it is, yeah.
Anyway, two women who hosted an old show, but Ninja Warrior was on it. And I was sitting on the couch and I was like, I'm going to do that show. I'm going to be on the next season. Yeah. And everybody in the room was like, oh, whatever. They knew I was a climber.
Michael, you're such a cutie.
Yeah, pretty much. And next year, that following, you apply in December. And so I submitted an application of me just doing random, like climbing a tree.
Yeah.
And doing all this weird. Yeah. And then I actually talked in a British accent on my first submission. The video is buried and gone.
Do it.
What?
Hi, my name's Michael.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah.
And
oi, governor.
Actually, it was a Scottish accent.
Really?
Yeah.
Because you're like, I wanted to stand out in the crowd?
Yeah, I don't know. I was a little loony back then, but I just thought
it
would add some flair. But I got on the show, so it didn't hurt.
So when you were there, were you like, hi, my name's Michael? They're like, whoa. Where's the Scottish guy?
Yeah.
What the fuck? And you're like, well, my mom is British, but when I get nervous.
No, I definitely in the impression told them that I wasn't Scottish. I just like talking like that. But I used to be a goon back in the day.
I like it. They're like, the producers are looking at it. He's got personality.
Yeah, something like that. But then I made it to Vegas, which is the finals, my first year doing it.
Yep.
Then the second year I did do it on active duty. I requested that I could have some leave to go do it, and they actually wound up giving me some PTAD.
Yeah.
So it was free leave.
Yeah.
I didn't have to burn the books at all. But, okay, this is the wildest thing
They're
ever.
like, tattoo USMC on your forehead so we can get some branding.
They actually told me I wasn't allowed to do any marketing. I had this is the reason I know a lot about marketing for the military.
Okay.
Is because I sat down with PAO and I had this whole brief one-on-one of like what you can and can't do if you go on commercial TV.
Yeah.
Because I guess it happens sometimes and they have to give this like, they have to dust off this old book and like, give you a brief. But anyway, the funny thing is I was a Lance Corporal and I was like, I want to go to American Ninja Warrior. And my Master Sergeant, Master Sergeant Weeks, shout out Master Sergeant. He's definitely well retired. Yeah. But he was my Master Sergeant at the time. And he goes, my son's a really big fan of that show.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, so I want to do well on the show to impress your son. And he goes, I'm going to give you 2 months off of work and your TAD to the gym. And he goes, pick 2 people from the platoon and they can go to the gym with you.
This is awesome.
Yeah. And so I picked 2 of my Lance, Edwards and Gilmore, 2 of my buddies that we were working on a truck. I was like, you guys want to be TAD to the gym?
Yes.
We didn't have, they didn't say no to that. I went to the gym twice a day for 2 months.
God, I bet your platoon hated you.
Oh man,
I
it
bet
was-
they hated you.
And I
so
was
bad.
untouchable because Mass Sergeant gave me the green light. Right?
Oh, look, there's the gym
Dominus.
boys. Yeah.
And so, but everyone did know I was competing for American Ninja Warrior, so they were rooting. They were like, some people hated it, but some people were in my corner. So it was like, you know, they were more.
They better hate it in
It was
public.
more envy than anything.
Yeah, they better hate it in public and root for you.
Yeah.
I mean, hate it in private, root
Yeah,
for you
yeah.
in public. Yeah.
And but yeah, he gave me 2 months off of work to go train at the gym twice a day, and then just go back to our barracks room and play video games. That was pretty much all we did for 2 months. And then I made it to the finals that year. Came back, and my master sergeant was like, "You need some more time off at the gym," and so he gave me another 2 months before the finals. And so I literally had like this skatist period of work for when I was a Lance Corporal, and I just got to hang out with my 2 Lance buddies. And
you completed the course?
I've never completed all
You did
4
the
stages.
The thing?
That's the one I've fallen on every time.
Why?
The jumping spider.
Why?
Because I neglect my hip flexibility. Yeah. But I did work
Kids,
on it.
work on your hip flexibility.
Honestly, hip flexors.
Really? That's
Yeah.
it?
100%.
Like what happens when you get to the spider? You can feel
The
it?
first time I did it,
Yep.
because I'm pretty good at proprioception.
Is this online?
No.
Is this on the lines?
No, not this
Dang it.
run.
Okay.
But hopefully next week my episode will air. Don't know yet, but they never tell you if you're going to be on the show or not.
Yeah.
But my
How'd you
fir-
do? Can you
I
say?
can't say that.
Can you say? Come
No.
on, say it.
Absolutely not. Especially on this.
Hey,
Like,
should
no.
I bet on it?
Yeah.
Should I go to
That's a
DraftKings?
great question that I cannot confirm or
Gotcha.
deny.
Put the house on Eckert.
But dude, the first time I went up to the jumping spider, I was on national television. I looked down it and I was like, it's impossible for me to be able to do this.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm pretty good at knowing like what my body's
So
capabilities
it's
are.
this one, your arms and your legs are
You have to
stretched out?
jump off a trampoline and hit 2 walls and stick between them.
Stop.
And there's a big gap between them. And so I was like, well, I can't stop here and go. So it looks like I jumped on the trampoline into the water. I basically didn't even extend that much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the second time?
Second time, my foot got wet from the obstacle prior to the jumping spider. Yeah. So there's this big like zip line.
Yeah.
And you land on a pad that's surrounded by water. And when I landed on the pad, I hit it in a way that tidal waved a big wave onto my shoe, and it soaked my whole foot. And so when I hit the wall, my foot slipped right off.
Yeah. Dang.
And then
How many times have you done it?
4.
So what about time number 3?
Trying to remember. I don't remember.
It's really cool that you have so many Ninja Warrior experiences.
It is cool, but again, I always, it's more of a hobby now. The first 2 times I did it, I was really gunning for like the prize.
Yeah.
But this was before American Ninja Warrior blew up into what it is now, because now there's like kids who grow up and all they do is Ninja Warrior.
There's ninja gyms. now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they coach there. And I've met all the guys that like are the top 10 people who do Ninja Warrior, and they're all coaches at Ninja Warrior gyms. They design their own obstacles. They live and breathe this stuff.
Mm.
So
Calisthenics. Yeah.
well, kind of, but
Yeah.
it's also
Aerobics,
proprioception
acrobatics,
is
yeah.
huge. Like
What?
proprioception,
What does that
knowing
mean?
knowing where your body is in space.
Oh.
Yeah, and that's a huge thing because it's a huge thing in athleticism. And so these guys will take like canes and stuff and pull it out of this bar that it's on. They'll pull it out, swing, and grab onto another bar with it. And it's knowing where your body is in space. And these guys, since they grew up doing it at a young age, it's like they're so good at it.
Whoa.
And they're at such another level that, and these obstacles have gotten so much harder. Back in the first time I did it, it was like a rope swing and like some weird, like easy
Yeah.
stuff. But now it's like you're pole vaulting from this thing that flies to another thing that has a smaller ledge that you have to grab onto. And it's,
I've noticed that it was like easier. Not
Oh, yeah.
easier. It was
No, it
it's
was definitely
significantly
easy.
more difficult now. And they're like,
yeah,
all right, blindfold, grab this diamond wall.
pretty much.
And you're just like, all right.
Yeah.
My name's Michael Eckert. And I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. I'm ready to go.
Heck yeah.
All right, here's Michael's family. They're cheering him on.
Yeah, it's pretty much exactly how it goes.
Here he goes, and he's off to the hippity hop. There you go. I don't know. I can't remember the names of it.
That's basically verbatim.
He's got the stutter step, the sidewall, and the whoa, daddy. You know, like that. It's
That's
got
it.
names like that. None of it
Dang.
means anything. And then the other guy's like giving play by play. Yeah, he's got to work on his strength in order if he wants to be strong here and move forward.
Hip flexibility, really.
Hip
holding them
flexibility.
back here.
Really?
Yeah.
I so desperately want to know about your 4th run.
You'll see it.
Where does it?
They make you sign a 24-page contract a year. Like they will like own your children and your pets if you breach contract.
Well, you've only got pets, so that's fine. You just give them all your dogs.
Future children.
Oh,
and
really?
And your grandkids.
It is NBC. It is NBC, right?
But yeah, it's just a big contract.
No, it's fine. Don't give away anything here. I don't want to. I'm not gonna stir up that hornet's nest.
Yeah,
they'll just come for me. They won't come for you. Just delete my. I'll just like upload a video one day, and they'll be like, "Your YouTube is gone."
Yeah.
The end. Do you still like the sport as a whole, or do you feel like it's kind of like plateaued? It definitely used to be more popular.
It's fun to
in
do,
mainstream,
especially because I've done it before and I've already had exposure to it. But it's not like I have aspirations to. It'd be awesome if I, effed my way all the way to the end of the course.
Are you giving hits right now?
Yeah. It'd be cool. Like I'm just stumbling around.
Pull up DraftKings.
Like, oh, I still got it. Like making it through these like spinning things and whatnot.
Dude, what do you say? Are you giving signals
cool.
now?
It'd be cool.
It would be really. It would be really cool. Yeah. No,
But,
we got you. Don't worry.
But I mean, again, the nicest part, and actually this was something I wanted to talk about, was
Go ahead.
The principle of why I train, right?
Why?
I love training. Like I love lifting weights and working out because there's a goal in mind of a sport. My sport is rock climbing, right? It's cool to have Ninja Warrior and be good at some of the stuff. And some of the stuff for rock climbing pertains to Ninja Warrior, like grip strength and swinging and jumping to things. But I like doing Ninja Warrior with like a first try effort where I'm not like practicing the obstacle like exactly as it's designed. Because that's what those Ninja Gyms do. They take the season of obstacles and they recreate them so people can practice the same movement on everything and get really good at it. I like doing everything first try just to see if I got it in me, right? It's cool to get a little bit of practice, but that, it's just how it goes sometimes.
Yeah.
But the reason I love training so much is because all of my training, one, it's functional for like real world daily activities, but two, all of my training pertains to rock climbing. And I think that's why a point I wanted to get across was because I get a lot of questions about how to stay motivated and whatnot. And I think it's because people are, I wouldn't say brainwashed, but by design, your buddy gets you into going to the gym and then they work out and there might be a bodybuilder or whatever the case is. And the goal is to like, one, get as big as possible, or two, to get better at lifting, right? To lift heavier weight. But that's a burnout and plateau waiting to happen, and you're going to lose motivation. And I think that if you can translate that, that's why I think rock climbing is such a great sport, because you can translate the training aspect, the lifting heavier weights, the doing heavier pull-ups, the doing more pull-ups into translational strength, into climbing. And so you get better at climbing because of training. And that's what keeps me motivated to train. If that makes sense.
You just want to climb.
I want to climb, but I want to be stronger all around. And it's just nice that climbing, being stronger helps climbing out.
Do you think that you'll fight the guy, Alex Honnold? Do you know him? Are you guys like buds?
I've never talked to him, but I don't think I would fight him.
No, I mean like
He
you
seems
fight
like a
his
nice guy.
record. I mean like doing.
Oh, heck no. That dude does some
That's
sketchy
crazy.
stuff. Yeah, I'm good on all that.
That's crazy. That's one of my favorite documentaries though.
I climb high balls, high ball boulders, which are like 25 feet. I don't like do that all the time. Oh, my rock climbing buddies are about to be like, bullshit, he doesn't climb that.
Yeah.
But I've climbed high balls in the past, which is like, if you fall, you'll break your legs. You could die, but it's not a guarantee you'll die.
Yeah.
Alex Honnold, you fall, like they're not gonna be able to find you.
Is that free climbing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's the guy who was in the movie Free Solo.
Yeah,
Oh,
he
gotcha,
climbed El Capitan. Is that what he
Yeah.
is? By himself?
Yeah.
The best part of the whole documentary is he's like just a dude.
Yeah.
And then this girl comes into his life. She almost kills him once.
Oh, yeah.
Because she's like,
slack of
she's
the rope.
literally not even paying attention. He's like, make sure you belay me. And she's like, whatever. And
Yeah.
like he falls. And so it becomes clear to him he can't trust her. And so she's like, are you doing it? And he's like, no. At the end of it, he just does it and doesn't even tell her.
Yeah.
Because he just like comes back and she's like, what happened? He's like, oh, I did it. Like that was the end of it.
Yeah.
So is there like a divide between like free climbers and like, true rock climbers, or like, how
You
like
guys got beef?
bodybuilding has like,
That's what I was gonna say. There's
Oh, here we
there's
go.
no beef. There's no
Gotcha,
beef between everybody, but there are styles. And that's also
What's
the
your
nice
style?
part about bouldering.
Bouldering.
100%.
You're a
Yeah.
boulder boy?
what style translate best to the Olympics? Because the Olympics, rock climbing was introduced in 2020, right? So this would be the second
Yeah.
go
And so
around?
the Olympics did a weird thing where you had to be, if you were competing in the Olympics for rock climbing, you had to compete in all 3 categories, which was rope climbing, bouldering, and speed climbing. And to me, that was just ridiculous because if you're good at speed climbing, you're not going to be that great at rope climbing.
Obviously,
I mean, maybe,
yeah.
but if you're good at bouldering, I doubt you're going to be that great at rope climbing or speed climbing. They're all just 3 different separate things that you would need to train very hard for to become good at. And making one person do all of them, like you're going to have brackets that are just really spread out. Because
I didn't know it was in the Olympics now.
Yeah.
Are you going to try and do that?
No, I'm
What?
not that strong.
What about coaching an athlete to that? Would that be
Potentially,
something?
where I fit in the fitness industry is helping like solve certain problems. Like and a lot of it has to do with pull-ups and grip strength and upper body strength.
Yeah.
I solve a lot of problems, but I don't solve a lot of problems for just rock climbers. I solve it for CrossFit enthusiasts, hybrid athletes, rock climbers, OCR racers. Like it's something that can solve problems for all of those people but it's just solved in different ways. It's upper body strength, but in an obstacle course race, you don't need like static strength like you would need in CrossFit.
Mm-hmm.
You need like explosive open strength. So like my arms fully extended if I'm doing like monkey bars or something like that.
Okay.
And so you would train them a little bit differently, but that's where I fit in the fitness space is for coaching. But I like my athleticism comes from like a hybrid of rock climbing, calisthenics, and obstacle course racing.
Well, I mean, you did hold a world record for a while, right?
Yeah.
What was the record exactly?
The first time I beat it was 50 in a minute, and the second time I beat it was 58 in a minute.
50 pull-ups in a minute?
Yeah.
And then 58?
Mm-hmm.
Who holds the record now?
Adam Sandel. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. Sandel. He's an American. He did like 76, I'm pretty sure.
Were they a good 76?
So this is another thing that gets me. Like,
Here we go.
I've talked to Adam before. He's a great dude, and he understands this as well. But whenever you're going for a world record that doesn't have clear-cut guidelines, there's going to be shortcuts, right? So, for instance, when you do the world record for pull-ups, I discovered that you need to go a little wider because it cuts the range of motion down.
That's smart.
Right?
That's fine.
But it was within a reasonable extent. So now the record has gotten to the point where like, it's like their arms are like
Stop.
They're out here
like the
and they're
push-up.
like this.
Yeah, it's like the push-up guys. 0, 0, 0,
It's
0.
like maybe 2 max 3 inches of movement.
Shut up.
And
Is that what he did?
he did it. I mean, he did it a little more reasonably, but I think that's his bone structure. But I saw some guys.
Show me what you did. I want to see your arms.
Mine where it was like
That's it.
just
That's
a
it.
triangle.
My man
neutral.
dead hung those things.
That's
Yeah, like just wide, but not overly wide.
yeah.
and
That's what you're supposed to, because it's not here.
It's just
Yeah.
outside of shoulder.
Yeah, it's just supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Because it's a better range of motion, right? As opposed to here, because this is not as
Yes. Well, you're actually pulling further distance.
yes,
If you have,
yeah, but like okay.
So mine was neutral. It's gotten wider and wider because if you think about it, if you only have to move this much, you can just.
You can probably do 100
There's some videos of,
in a minute.
and it's not Adam's video, but there's some videos of like.
I've seen it.
You have
The guys.
the foreign guy who's literally like this.
Yeah.
It's just. And that's because there's no clear cut rules. I feel like there should be a guideline between. It has to be your arms have to be within X distance apart.
I think you should make a criteria.
I'm going to.
Really?
Yeah. I'm making my own world record website.
This I love.
Yeah.
This I love. How many do you think you can do like this now in a minute?
I probably won't be the record holder, but I'll be the guy enforcing the guidelines.
I think if there's a standard, then that's what matters.
Yes. And that's what I just want it to be undebatable. And I also want to make, like we were talking about the community aspects of stuff. I want the community to decide majority, like, because one, I don't have, if let's say 100,000 people submit videos, I'm not going to be able to go through each one of those, nor do I care
will.
to.
I'll be a judge.
So if you think about like a Reddit post or something like that,
Yes.
you submit a video and it can be upvoted, downvoted based on quality. And, a huge audience will watch videos.
You know what I'm thinking about as you're saying this? This only really applies to like calisthenics, it seems. No, actually, I'm thinking like there's not this same issue in running. They're like, how fast can you run a mile?
Yeah.
How fast can you run a marathon?
Well, it's a standardized.
yeah,
right? It's a distance.
It is unstandardized. So this is unstandard. The push-ups are unstandardized too, probably.
No. Like it is standardized. Like when you run a mile, it's a
No,
certain
that is
district.
standardized,
Yeah.
but the pull-ups aren't, is what I'm saying.
It's
With the- with-
standardized based off like rules of you have to come to a full lockout, but people are exploiting the fact that you can go. There's no there's gaps in it, and it's gotten to the point where I
don't care. You hold the record.
Well, here's the even reason I even went for that record. It was a byproduct of the training I was already doing. I never was trying to break the record until somebody asked me. They said, "Hey, how many pull-ups do you think you could do in a minute?" And I went up breaking the world record at the time, which I think was like 43. And he was, it was like a total, like just as many as I could. They were kind of sloppy, but I did 45 or something like that in a minute. And he goes, "Dude, I think you just broke the world record." And
Hell yeah.
I was like, "That's pretty sweet. That's just a byproduct of my prior training."
You're such a psycho.
And then, later on, I was like, "How do we make this official?" And so I actually broke it twice because I submitted it the first time just as somebody holding a phone camera with no like guidelines or anything. I submitted it to Guinness and they're like, "What the hell is this? Like, this isn't proof." And so then they sent me the guidelines of like, you need multiple camera angles. You need to have two certified trainers there to sign off on the record being performed. And so after I did it the second time, I got it solidified and had the record at the time.
What's the most pull-ups you've done in 24 hours?
5,000.
That's insane. That was the Arkansas thing?
Yes. And the reason I'll agree, because I was trying to break the world record, which was like 7,700 at the time. So I fell short by almost 3,000 pull-ups, which is, in my book, for somebody who's going for it, not that impressive. But the stipulation was I actually have the unofficial world record, which the Guinness judge who was there was telling me. He's like, "Had you applied for this, we could have got you in the book." For most pull-ups ever done in 24 hours outside. That was the issue.
That's how you create a thumbnail. So, world record holder.
Yeah.
Because you did it outside. Because Truett.
Nobody else has even
inside.
attempted it outside.
True to his
because
inside, right?
The one thing you want to control, which we didn't have control, was the elements of heat and cool, right? You
His
want it
was
to be
inside?
No, I'm just saying. No, I'm agreeing to what he's saying.
You want to control the elements as much as possible.
Yeah.
And so when I did it, it was for a veteran nonprofit, and we were doing it, but COVID had pushed the building of this back. And so when I got to the event, there was no roof on this building I was supposed to do.
remember this, yeah.
And I went up, which I have a good relationship with them. It's all fine, but water under the bridge. But I went to the event and I was like, "Where's the roof?" We're like, "We're doing it live." And so we set up the pull-up bar. They put up a tent over the top of it, like a little camper tent, right?
Yeah.
But we had to move that. We didn't move it at one point, but it got up to like 97 degrees outside or something like that. So it was just my hands were sweating. So the first 1,000 pull-ups, I had no skin on my hands. It was just gone.
Yeah.
Because I was sweating so much. And then at night, it got down into the 30s. So it was like 12 a.m. or something like that. And I'm just doing pull-ups in the freezing cold. Like you could see my breath. And we had like a little heat lamp to try it because it was in the middle of the woods.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I found out afterwards. I actually beat David Goggins' record. I think his was like 4,300 at the time in 24 hours.
I do remember this.
But I beat his 24-hour record in 12 hours.
Let's go.
And so I did 4,300 something.
You need to
in
try
12 hours.
Let's do it indoor. Let's do it right.
I will try. I will try it again.
Let's do it right. We'll put the man right there on the wheels, dude.
I'll
make
get
a
all
whole
the
thing
camera
of it.
angles.
I'm so down.
I'll have you stamped up like a NASCAR.
Yeah.
like just like you'll have stuff all over you, dude. You look like you're playing soccer overseas.
I've always been curious what opportunities or perks, I guess, come with being a Guinness Book of World Record holder. Like, obviously, that's great for your brand. You get to promote that, but like, are there any like sponsors coming from out of the woodworks?
No, I mean, I think it depends. I mean, I think Olympic world records would be different because they're looked at like it's a standardized thing. If it's some obscure like, because Guinness goes down the route of like they do weird world records. Like I saw one where it was like, how many jars of mayonnaise can you eat in a minute?
Stop.
And it made me sick to look at the video. Yeah, there's just this girl just like eating with a spoon and jars of mayonnaise, just chowing down on mayonnaise as fast as possible. And it made me kind of like ill to watch the video. But there's records like that where it's like, that's cool, but like, I don't know.
But an athletic feat like that, if you're a gym equipment company.
How old are you now?
33.
33.
Yeah.
33 owning a few records. Dude, you're in your prime, baby.
So I mean, because it was outside, that's the reason I got so injured. I had so
I
much
know.
nerve damage
I
on
don't
my
want to.
body.
Yeah. We
And
talked about this. Your
yeah.
hands looked like you held them on like a drill or something.
Yeah,
like
it was actually funny. I learned a lot of lessons because I brought super glue with me because I knew I was gonna rip, but I realized that as I was gluing my hands, because I was like shaking, I was just gluing my hands and my skin back on. I would close this hand to do it to this hand, and when I opened this hand again, it had dried
It ripped
and it
it.
ripped it back open. And then at one point, because I was re-gluing my hands again, I was like, okay, I did good this time. I put my hands on the pull-up bar
Stop.
and I glued my hands to the pull-up bar. And so I did my 3 reps because I was like 3 to 4 reps per. I dropped off and you just hear this and it left all of my skin that was already coming off on the bar.
That's so rough.
Yeah. So that's the reason if you see that video with the holes, because there's like some flapping up.
Yeah.
Those weren't the ripped ones. Those was the ones that are just the holes where the skin was left on the bar.
And there's so much to it because I did watch Truett do it, and I
Yeah.
saw the way he was doing it with like, I like what he put like sponges. Is that what he put?
Yeah, so an Australian guy figured out that sponges, and I know this is where he got it from because I did the same thing. There was another guy who
What is that?
what?
No, explain the sponges. I mean,
Oh, there's just this Australian guy who was smashing records. It was like the 6-hour record he beat by like an absurd amount. I can't remember his name, but he was doing it with these sponges. And he was like the first guy to figure out that if you put sponges underneath your hands, it prevents calluses from forming for a long time. And it provides really good friction. And I'm guessing it takes the sweat away because it's absorbing into the sponge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I did experiments with like 30 different pairs of gloves.
Yeah.
And none of them, because they're all have these like weird, you want to prevent as much micro movement as possible.
Yes.
Because it's just that tiny little bit of movement that rips your hand over time.
Yes.
And yeah, he figured out that if you use like just regular old like dish sponges and just put them on top, that
It makes sense as you're saying it too.
yeah. I've actually never tried it, but
I'm gonna go buy
During
some
the next-
sponges stock.
but there's also
when are you going for the record?
I don't know yet.
Come on.
we got to make the move first. I gotta.
No. That's us boring. 2 months? How long would it
No.
take you to train? I'm curious.
I don't
You're
know.
in
I
really
thi-
good shape.
I think I could do it
6
if I had
months?
like 6 months of training.
Yeah. Let's get on that.
The last time I did it, I hated it. That was one of the most depressed times
You
I've been.
were-
In. Well, it was because at one point I was doing like 2,000 pull-ups a day, which takes like 5-6 hours, right? Like you're just doing pull-ups. It's
Yeah.
so boring. I've watched movie after movie while I'm doing it.
Bartel
and
said
then-
he came and did it with you, and you watched like 4 movies or
Yeah.
something.
And then, what was it? I started doing like towards the end where I was trying to peak my training. I was doing sleep deprivation training. So I would wake up at like 11 or like 1 in the morning, and I'd do pull-ups until 5 or 6 in the morning. And I was exhausted just doing pull-ups. And then that would ruin the whole rest of my day because I
Yeah.
was tired. I was in pain and if you ever do a single movement like that for a long time, it's just so bad for your body.
Yeah. I can only imagine.
And so I like feeling good. I feel decent right now. I still have some lingering stuff and
Yeah.
the whole wrist break and all that.
Yeah. I just remember watching you once on a live. We were doing pull-ups and you just went tack, 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 tack. You just like tapped the thing. And I was like, man, he's kind of in some dark waters. It was just you doing like a 10,000 or I don't know how many you were doing.
Yeah.
But you just like got down, you tap your little counter, and
Yeah.
then you got back up, you tapped your little counter.
It's so boring.
Yeah. And
Oh.
you're like, hey guys, like tap, 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 bop, 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 bop.
And I mean, it's cool to have a record. I've the nice part is I've had exposure to having one before. And to answer your question, you don't get jack shit from getting a record, except like it'll be like a little thing you put in your Instagram bio or which I do have. But
Yeah.
You get a
Hello.
sweet plaque though, right?
do what?
You get a sweet plaque, don't you?
Yeah, you get a plaque, and I mean, like, it's a cool accolade to have, but you don't like. There's nothing more than what you make of it, right? And so I'm the pull-up guy, and so I just use that as another booster to that I had a world record at one point, and it's cool to have. But I'm a big advocate of enjoying and loving what you do, and training for that world record made me start hating pull-ups. And so I was like, I used to have a passion and like enjoy upper body strength, but now 1, my body is in so much pain, and 2, I'm so burnt out from doing so many that I just don't want to do them anymore.
Damn.
And so, but that's in the past now.
Well,
back to
now
doing
you've
them.
moved through it, right?
Yeah, I'm actually enjoying doing weighted pull-ups now.
Getting back to it, huh?
Yeah,
You're in your like montage era.
yeah,
Yeah, you're in the rebuild.
yeah.
You know, it's funny. You're one of the
Shadow
guys that
boxing.
motivated me to want to do more fitness stuff.
Really?
Yeah. Because like every May, I try to do as many Murphs as I can. And this past year I did 17. They're not competitive. Don't
That's
come for me.
exactly what I thought about
Don't
when you
c-
said too much of one thing.
Yeah. Don't come for me. Be like, oh, what are your times? They're horrible. That's not the point. The point isn't to do them competitively. The best I've ever done is like a 36 or something.
Murph?
Yeah. Well,
Isn't that really good?
Yeah,
dude,
that's
but I've been doing pull-ups since I
that's
was
like
18.
elite CrossFit
Like,
level.
Yeah, that's
but like
really
that
good.
that was at the peak of my fitness many years ago when I was doing CrossFit. But
Yeah.
like I can do 100 pull-ups in a minute.
Mhm.
I've been able like
with the 20-pound vest?
yeah, but
Wait, 100 pull-ups in a minute?
well, like 20
that
drop,
doubles
20
my
drop,
world record?
20 drop, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not exactly a minute, but like
No,
I just
no,
do
no.
20
3-hour
drop.
conversation was supposed to give us the most authentic version of you.
Yeah. Yeah. No. What I'm saying is like it's just the time it takes most people to do it. I'm already like moving through the push-ups. It's just like every other Marine Corps workout I've ever done.
Yeah, no, I totally
But
get it.
but I remember talking to you about the pull-ups and I was like, I'm gonna try and do this. And for me, the whole thing is just to try and be like I try to run almost every day now, but like I'm really trying to push myself these past few years. But I like to try and get in that state of like pushing myself because I've just become incredibly bored with fitness, if
Yeah.
that makes sense, which I'm sure you understand.
Also, I was talking about like if you can find. I mean, you said you were doing jujitsu for a little while.
I did, but I got hurt.
Mm.
And so then it was just like, I can't,
You've been
I'm-
climbing with me before.
I know, and I hated it.
It's
Like it was like,
not for everybody.
well, you're Spider-Man and it's so hard.
I didn't start out Spider-Man.
Yeah,
I mean, border.
like I go up and I start
I was
shaking.
pretty good at pull-ups before I started rock climbing.
I know it's insane, but like, it's one of those things where it's just like I like to push myself to that spot where it's like we should stop.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's where I find my most comfort at. Of like afterward, like not comfort, the joy I feel afterwards is just like so much more fulfilling than anything else. Cause like I know it's hard, it sucks, it doesn't feel good. My hands hurt, my back hurts, my knees and everything hurt. But like, you know, just like moving through that stuff's fun. I don't get it.
Yeah, I'll co-sign to that too, man, because that was probably like I also participated in the as many Murphs as possible.
Yeah.
And I will say that, yeah, there is a certain satisfaction you get from one, when the workout's over, and two, looking back on it, knowing that like every day, if you did a couple back to back,
Mm-hmm.
like, I mean, there was a certain gratification knowing that you did something that pushed you outside of your comfort zone, but you were
Heck
able
yeah.
to push through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they all weren't weighted. Some of them I was traveling, so I did them like whatever. None of it matters, but
Yeah.
it's really just like an exercise of like this is uncomfortable. That's all I really wanted to do
I mean, and
because I work out regularly.
I know you say are you a competitive person?
Very like
Okay.
to a fault.
Physically competitive?
Very
Okay.
like it has nothing. I don't even like playing video games because
Really?
of how competitive I am.
We're on the same page there. 'Cause
Yeah.
I've learned to live and not be as competitive.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are scenarios where I'm going all out, and there's scenarios where I'm like, this isn't worth, losing a friend over a basketball game.
Yes. Also, if they weren't such an idiot, it wouldn't have happened. No, I'm like I have like weird standards that I always put in my head and this self-talk and stuff. And
Yeah.
it's like if I don't do this pull up, my whole family's gonna get, kidnapped by aliens type stuff. Like it's
Oh dang.
I'm
that's-
always like in
that's
that
in there.
Well, yeah, I have to like work through. I need something to motivate me. I need something to push me. And like I said, like none of the point of that whole thing was like, how long can I be uncomfortable? And I could be uncomfortable a long time. That's why I like jujitsu so much. It's really just a practice in being uncomfortable. Someone's choking you, someone's trying to kill you.
Yeah.
You got to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And if you can be like, okay, it's not that bad, and you can get out of it,
And
then you're
it's
good.
Totally practical for real life.
It is.
But I mean, that was the whole reason I was like, didn't want to do jujitsu. I did a little bit. I mean, not much, but
I would
one
hate
is-
if you did jujitsu.
I mean, everyone, there's a lot of people who want me to do it. There's two things that people want me to do that I don't do: arm wrestle and jujitsu, because of my grip strength. But I know for a fact that I'm going to re-injure my wrist with jujitsu
Yeah.
because being contorted in a certain way, like rock climbing, it's pretty static and you're moving and your wrists don't move that much. But jujitsu, I know it's just going to be bent the wrong way and then I'm going to be out of commission for a while.
Yeah, but nobody would be able to get out of your grip, so it wouldn't matter. I don't even think you'd get
Potentially.
that. I don't even think you'd get that far.
Yeah.
Like you would just maul people day in and day out.
And also the competitive nature. I think it's I mean, it'd be, I would probably invest too much of myself into it to get better at it, which I tend to do with
Yes.
things that I start doing. And then but as responsibility is in life and prioritization of like getting married, potentially having kids, moving, all that stuff, I need to be really attentive to where I put my attention, like, and where my priorities are.
Same. If I let my competitive streak go too far, then it messes me up. Like,
Yeah, because you just want to be like, if you're gonna do something, you're gonna be the best at it. Like
Yeah.
that's just how it goes.
Yeah.
And then that can lead and bleed into, I'm now invested in this and I'm gonna get better at it.
Yeah.
And you don't want to do that with too many things because then you run out of time.
no, and like I would like do stuff with like black belts in jiu-jitsu, for instance, and they would ball me up and I'd be like, "Ugh, they cheated. Like obviously they're better at me, but like it was just like, oh, I messed up. If I do more pull-ups, I'll be good.
Yeah.
So it's tough, but like now what I try to put that energy towards is not competitive, but I try to take that same spark, move it towards a creative and move it towards things that I feel are less toxic creating and less toxic being a part of.
Dude, you just reminded me because that makes sense. Investing more time into creation. And that's one of the, I mean, like back to way previous, that social media is a blessing and a curse to some extent. But I was doing some thinking about it. Like, how do I explain to people who don't understand how to make money on social media? I think there's enough content out there explaining that if people look into it, they can find out. But the nicest part about social media, when it does turn into a business that you can invest full time into, it's like when you work a regular 9-to-5 job, which is like, let's say you work 40 hours a week, right? You're going to get paid for 40 hours a week. You're going to get an hourly rate, whatever the salary, but you're going to get a fixed amount. If you work overtime, you could potentially get overtime, but it's going to be capped out at however many hours they give you. Social media, what I've realized is like the more time, if you invest 7 days a week into it, like really diving into it, you get such a higher return on investment, and it's also scalable. Like, and that's why I think that it's not a bad idea to create a business around social media, but it does take a lot of effort and time. And I recommend people, if they do start it, they do it as a side hustle to begin with. Don't quit your job and just invest in some camera gear and go do it, because it's not a sunshiny road. Even now, I mean, like I have a big following and whatnot, but it's kind of my own fault because I just don't post enough on social media. But it's an internal battle of like trying to be successful on social media and then being like, man, should I go get a job somewhere?
Well, yeah, but you're in control of your own destiny, and that's what that's what ultimate freedom is.
Yeah,
yeah,
and making money while you sleep. That's great.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Well, as we're closing, is there any final thoughts you want anybody to know? Anything you need them to do besides go to follow you on every platform?
No, just
what is it, Michael?
Michael Eckert _fit.
Michael Eckert _fit everywhere the internet is. Anything at all?
Depending on when this comes out, I might be on Ninja Warrior the following week.
You will. This is a few episodes out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So look back at that Ninja Warrior episode.
Look back at the Ninja Warrior episode. Enjoy it. Thank you so much for being here.
Dude, thank you.
One of the best. I appreciate you. And say your friend's name one more time.
Sergeant Tyree Green.
Sergeant Tyree Green. Never forget.
It's a good man. One of the funniest people I know.